Hey folks, welcome. Good evening to another money space with me, Kaluaja. Of course, on this space, we're talking money, the economy, and finance. We're here every Sunday, bringing those topics that make sense to you in a way that you can apply them and become a better investor. And what a week we have, guys. This week, we have to go back, sadly, and talk again about Ponzi and pyramid schemes. We've done this before. We've given all the flags, but I think folks keep on falling for this. So let me just separate the wheat from the chaff, right? This space is for those folks that are genuinely not able to decipher what a Ponzi scheme is and what a pyramid scheme is, and keep on maybe falling to the traps of these unscrupulous promoters. That's what this space is for. This is not really a space for if you know what it is and you want to sort of game the system, you want to invest money in a well that you know is lost funds, but you're hoping to reclaim your funds before the whole scheme blows up. This is not for you, right? You are driven by greed. We're trying now to reach out to the folks that unfortunately are driven by a lack of understanding of how the market works. That's what this particular space is. And those are the folks who want to reach out to today. So, of course, you've heard the news. Another one has fallen. I'm not going to call the name of the Ponzi scheme itself. But again, someone else has promoted an investment that has turned out not to be what it was purported to be. It's the same story. Someone comes out and says, if you invest with me, you can get double, triple your funds in a week, in a month, 100%, 50%, and people go and invest and they get paid. That's the problem. They get paid and they stay there. And after a while, they believe that, listen, this is real, or they believe they made their principal back, so they keep on staying and they keep on recruiting their friends to join the scheme. This is where it gets wild. Because no Ponzi scheme exists without the folks that are already invested, if you could call it that word, going back to tell their friends to come out and put their funds in the scheme. And that's why Ponzi schemes are so, should we say, so deadly, because it's marketed through word of mouth. And the most effective form of advertising is word of mouth. So if I tell you, or if a TV ad says invest in XYZ, that's fine, it's a TV ad. But when your friend tells you invest in XYZ and you will get 10% because I invested in XYZ and I got 10%, you are more likely to invest. And that's why it grows exponentially. And then, of course, in the end, everybody cries. So Olumide is here as well. Let me just run through a few of the things, a few of the red flags that you want to watch out for. I'm also going to bring Olumide in to talk really about this. This is more like public service Twitter money space. So just, maybe you don't know, let me just see if I can run through them again. And I did share this tweet, I think an hour ago, on the whole Ponzi scheme, the red flags you want to watch out for. So I'm just going to talk. If you have a question, please request to speak. I'll add you. You can ask a question. We've got a few guys here that can take those questions for you. So, Charles Ponzi was the original guy that invented Ponzi schemes. Not invented, but he made it really a big thing. Before he came, there were guys doing these same schemes. Ponzi schemes are essentially what we call pyramid schemes. And you can see why it's called a pyramid. There's a top and there's a bottom. The guys at the bottom, right, form the base. And you are told to go bring two people, and when you bring two people, you make certain amount of money, or you rise up in the pyramid. So the more you bring, the more you rise up in that pyramid, the more you make money in that pyramid. That's one way of exploiting greed and ignorance, right? But the most common one is the Ponzi scheme, what we know as a Ponzi scheme. The original scheme was he was selling postage stamps. He thought if you buy postage stamps in America, it was cheaper in America than the countries that used those stamps. Remember, this was before the internet. So if you want to post a letter to Nigeria, you would go buy a worldwide stamp in the US. But he found out that those stamps in Nigeria, for instance, if we use an example, were cheaper than the US. So there was an arbitrage opportunity. So it was a real opportunity that he exploited. It was a real opportunity. He said, listen, if you buy those stamps in the US and you sell them abroad, you make a profit. Fine. But the problem was he then raised a lot of money over something that was real. And the returns, of course, didn't now come from the real investment option, but from the funds that he had raised and was simply using new money to pay off old obligations. Does that sound familiar? Ponzi schemes are always based on real financial or investment opportunity. There's no one that's going to come and tell you, come and invest, I want to go to the moon, or I want to go to Mars. No. They will always tell you what is actually real and actually working in the real space. But what they then offer you is much, much higher. So Charles Ponzi, if he had run that stamp deal, he wouldn't have made 5%. But because he was now trying to get more money, he said, okay, I'll give you 45%. I'll give you 50%, in 45 days and 100% in 90 days. That's the Ponzi, because there's no investment that can give that to you. So when you pay him, he takes your money and he simply pays off the guys that want to take their money. But look at this human psychology. The first time guys go in there and give Charles Ponzi $10, Charles Ponzi gives them, $5. Oh, wow, this is interesting. They give him back $5. He gives them under $5. So they've made their principal back. So psychologically, they've made their principal back. So what's there to lose? We might as well just stay with him. So they leave their principal, leave their interest with Charles Ponzi, and then tell the other friends, hey, come and invest. This thing is actually working. And of course, you then have this spiral. This base just keeps on growing. Folks go and invest. Ponzi schemes don't die because the model is just self-perpetuating. It's only when they run out of investors that it all comes crashing down. Because if you go and you say, I want my money, they'll give you your money. There's always a new sucker in code that's coming. And that's the whole idea. So number one thing, let's just go straight to it. In Nigeria, you never invest. You never give anybody your money to invest. We're talking about securities now, not a private arrangement, not a business arrangement, not that you want to invest in, say, a restaurant. No. If someone comes to you and says, I want to sell you a security, I want to sell you an investment option, and that security does not have a SEC license, SEC, Security and Exchange Commission license, you do not invest. Does it mean that all SEC investments are going to make you money? No. But once they do not have a SEC license, just stop there and move away. Don't start to ask questions. Don't start to say, okay, what? No. Once you don't have a SEC license, you leave. And it's not just the SEC license on the corporation. The corporation and the product both have to have a SEC license. So if XYZ is selling XYZ product, both XYZ and XYZ product have got to be SEC approved. If you see the words guarantee and the word trading together in any investment, it's fraudulent. I don't care who gave it to you. I don't care where you saw it. Once you see the words trading and the words guaranteed together in any investment product, it's fraudulent. If you see the words guaranteed in any investment product, it's a red flag. Because no real investor will ever give you a guarantee when you are investing. It's not possible. So the word guarantee is your red flag. The word guarantee and trading simply means just run away, right? These are very, very simple things. You don't have to have a calculator to follow what we're talking about, right? Now, if someone tells you, if you give me money, I will give you a fixed return. No matter what they call it, you are buying a bond. So if someone says, hey, give me 10,000 naira and I'm going to give you 10%. Once they quote a percent they're going to give you, no matter what they call it, you are buying a bond. When you do fixed deposit, that's just a bond that is maturing less than a year. So we call it different in the money market. But essentially, you are buying a bond. So whether they call it crypto trading, binary options, agriculture, buy a pig and get 15%, once they quote a percent to you, you are buying a bond. So if you're buying a bond, what do you want to ask the guy? How are you going to pay me back? Where's the sinking fund? So if you notice, when you buy bonds from the federal government or from the bank, they'll tell you we have a sinking fund, which means there's money set aside to pay you. So if someone tells you, oh, invest in me, I'm going to give you 15%, 20%, 100%, that's a bond. Doesn't matter whether it's Forex, it doesn't matter whether it's agriculture or crypto, it's a bond. So where's the sinking fund? Like a stable coin in crypto. Cryptos have the balance sheet or the deposit that back up the stable coins. That's the whole idea, right? And again, what's your anchor? If you hear, I'm going to give you 100%, always ask yourself, what's the risk-free rate? In Nigeria, the risk-free rate today, which is from the NPR, is about maybe 21, 22%. That means that if the federal government of Nigeria wants to borrow money, they will borrow at 21, 22%. That's your anchor. So once someone has to go far away from that anchor, red flag, red flag, red flag. So if someone is offering you 100%, that's too far from 25%. If someone is offering you 30%, that's okay. It's within that 25% range. That's the risk-free rate. So you're within that 25% range. You can't take anyone offering you 50% or 100% seriously. It's too far from your investment return, right? There is also no investment, no insurance, for investment losses. So when you see the agricultural guy is telling you, if you invest in a farm, if you lose money, we are insured, it's not true. The farm is insured, but your investment is not insured. There is no investment or insurance that covers losses from investment. None at all. Then what should you also do? When you want to invest in any corporation, anywhere, write a check. I know we're in the digital age where you just transfer money. Try to write a check. A check creates, it creates more claim, if I can use that way, on that organization. So if ever they find these guys that have duped you, there's going to be a register of folks that have invested money in there and are going to pay you back. If you have a check deposit or a transfer, you get paid. But make sure there's a paper trail to show that money left to you to that company, which means you never ever invest with cash. Because cash, if you give them cash, they give you a receipt. There's no way to show that cash is your cash. It's just their receipt. But when you do a check, your bank is going to be debited by their bank. So you have that proof in your bank. Even if you lose your check, you have that proof, right? So try to pay with a check. And of course, we've also shared this SEC website link that you can go into and pull that link, sec.gov.ng/CMOS. Put the name of the company there. It will tell you if that company is registered or not. Guys, less than 8 points for you to just cram. If you follow these 8 points, you won't lose your money. I'm not saying you will make money, but you won't lose your money. If you don't invest in folks that are not SEC registered, you do all these other tricks, you watch, don't be greedy. If it's 100%, it's too far from NPR, you run away. If they're offering you a guaranteed return, it's a bond, ask them questions. If you do this, you won't lose money. Don't be too greedy. Olumide, what have I missed out, Olumide? I've given about 8 thoughts. What have I missed out that folks should listen and try to follow up on?
Good evening.
How you doing?
Miss out anything, actually. In fact, I was just like, I was sharing deeper context of the articles I wrote on Metrics. Last week, I was just like, you think I was working for the Security Exchange Commission, and that was because of the endemic problem in our society in terms of misinformation, ignorance, arrogance, and the fact that many of us refuse to learn. You see, you said everything, the methodology, the historicals, things to look for. These things have been as old as the system itself. But it's unfortunate that many of us keep falling for the same cheap trap. And the conversation is why. So, Kalu, I wrote stories about it because I understood the fact on social media that many Nigerians don't even understand the custodians and the umpires in the investment industry. So, I didn't even know about this CPEX about this Ponzi thing that was really, that I didn't know until it's on the news, because none of my friends, despite the fact that I have a lot of people in the Kano, for example, I spoke about it. So many friends, nobody. So I was just like, where is this coming from? And I tried to understand the story. And I figured out that it was not just Nigeria, Kenya, other countries, because I also wrote the story on foreign media, and I found out that a lot of foreigners also had issues. So the context is that the amount stolen first, it's disputable because where the money went to was an hot wallet. Hot wallet basically means wallet that is online on the internet, and it belonged to the central exchange. So it was pretty much quite difficult to ascertain the exact amount. But in reality, millions of dollars from the Nigerian units was lost. And the question is, why? In terms of the fact that disposable income is weak, there are opportunities in our capital market. So there were three scenarios: deception. I will speak on the deception, then ignorance, and the arrogance part. Deception was that a lot of people feel that because yesterday I saw a punch story, and the punch story was like how EFCC and Corporate Affairs Commission registration was used to deceive a lot of Nigerians.
Yeah.
And I brought it back to Peter and like, see, guys, because a company has EFCC money laundering registration, which I call clearance certificate, or CAC register, it does not necessarily mean that they are investment satisfied. I brought the conversation. I slept over. By the middle of the night, I saw a lot of controversy that yes, it's scam, private government, and I was like, see, that is why we keep falling in the same trap, because you don't even understand the custodian of the investment community. If you look at Nigeria and you look at the United States, for example, Nigeria SEC is like the alpha in the investment community. In the American community, it's not like that because we have CFTC, then we have SEC, then we have other sites under the Fed, US Fed. That's, for example, the ones that supervise the banks, the payment license, different, But in Nigeria, basically, we focus on the two major ones, the CBN and the Securities and Exchange Commission. Some Nigerians were saying that, okay, because, for example, Fair Money was offering interest rate product, why don't they have SEC license? And I was like, see, you need to understand the difference between a banking product, a payment product, and an investment product.
Very
so,
important.
First of all, there was a problem in that part. So you could see that when you don't even understand how to differentiate, it's easy for you to scam. Then you also need to understand that being registered under the Corporate Affairs Commission does not mean that you are legally accepted in the investment community. And also, because you have a SEC license, does not mean you're an angel. And I give examples that even in the United States, that happen to be the most compliant and efficient financial market in the world, we've seen cases where SEC-regulated firms committed crimes. But I said the advantage is that you have some form of protection, because if things go wrong, you can fight it out with SEC or the government, and SEC can also hold those people accountable. Like this case now, Carl, we don't even know the major actors. Despite the fact that it was registered, it's more probably they used a scapegoat as a pawn to register their Ibadan office or something, which it's most likely that victims will not get their money because they used the exchange, they used the crypto, and from deeper forensics, the report is that it came from Asia. So
So you are saying the Nigerian was just a window to collect money from Nigerians?
Yeah,
it's not the Nigerian.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was not even just like, because even if you look at the case of Kenya also, so the context is that the only problem I had with federal government when I was like, that the federal government should have done better is that, first of all, I think financial literacy is at all-time low, even among financial professionals. Lawyers were arguing on the space, lawyers on my timeline.
Yeah, I saw that.
That as long as, so it's very humiliating when you now see that people that you expect to know better don't even understand the basics. So you understand why scam will always come to play. So that's where I said arrogance, because when you know you don't know and you refuse to learn, then arrogance take the greater role. So when people say greed, when people say poverty, yes, but people that invested $40,000, $100,000, they are not poor people. And it's very unfortunate that in the Nigerian context, if you have 30, 40, 50, 60, you're in the upper middle class at least, even if you are not in the 1%. So I expect that you have a structural financial arrangement in form of an investment banker, a financial advisor, someone that works in a reputable, that will give you forensic advice, And I've always given the warning that you need to understand that the financial industry is very regulated. Because somebody has 250 financial certification does not make him a regulated financial advisor. You notice that when Carl is talking, or when I'm talking, you say that this is not investment advice because we are not authorized to offer investment to the public. Simple. So you need to understand that the financial industry is heavily sensitive in terms of investments for the public. But a lot of people take it for granted. Even some people will tempt you that, oh, what stock should we buy? Openly. When you're talking to an audience of thousands of people, so when you ignore them, they think that you don't want to help them. But they don't understand that the law frowns at it. So we need to understand the basics first.
Just walk us through, for the guys listening and really not investment professionals, walk me through SEC license, EFCC license, and CAC license. If I go to if I go to a store and I see CAC license and they're asking me to buy shares, should I buy, yes or no?
No. So I will explain to you so that for people to understand, because it seems that financial jargon words are like jargons in the eyes of or in the ears of many. So let's say in the hospital, for example, now we have a pharmacist, we have a microbiologist, we have a doctor. Now you have typhoid fever. Naturally, a microbiologist will tell you that you have salmonella typhi. Without test, once he knows that you have typhoid, when he even does the test, like he knows salmonella typhi, and he knows that for you to treat that, you need antibiotics, right? And he knows that your salmonella typhi is stationed in the small intestine, but it is not allowed by law to diagnose. It's the work of the doctor. Now, there's a reason for that. Now, if you go to the pharmacist, for example, the pharmacist knows the drug you should take, even when you mention typhoid. And yes, you have even gone for tests. But by law, he's not allowed to diagnose. It's just to provide the drugs to you. That's the law. And the reason they did that was that they understand that there are other circumstances that might not just be typhoid, and it might be secondary reaction or things like beyond typhoid. So the doctor plays a key role. The same thing in the investment world. You know, the CBN, because you're a bank, for example, I mentioned that you're a Stanbic, you're a GT. Once you are coming to the investment world, you need a SEC license. That's why you see when GT is selling their mutual funds or UPA or GT, you see the banks, they will tell you that this is regulated by the Security Exchange Commission. Any fund manager that is working in the bank needs, despite the fact that he has CBN. So you need to understand that every license has jurisdiction and their own functionality. The work of the CAC is just to register an entity.
Okay. I have more questions. I won't put follow. So, number one, if I go to the investment house in quote and they only have CAC, don't buy don't buy shares that have been offered to the public.
Not an investment. Yes, that's not an investment. Yes.
So that means that means they are legally registered in Nigeria, but they're not legally registered to issue or sell or market securities. Correct?
Exactly.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so pause there. Let's look at the second one. If I go to this investment house in code, they have CAC and they have EFCC. You know, EFCC is the one that tracks money laundering. They track if you're a bad guy. So now only this guy have got CAC. They have money laundering certificate. They are selling shares to the public. If they are bad, EFCC will not give them license. Should I invest?
It's a function of knowledge here, Carl. What is the role of the EFCC? If you understand the clearance or you understand the registration, it's more about money laundering and just to ensure that that entity is not a security breach. They have little functionality about investment. When you look at the configuration of the EFCC, it's made of enforcement officers and lawyers that work in terms of the security arrangement of the country. So yes, they deal with financial crimes, but there's more the enforcement. So you need to understand that you have that license. It even makes you could still be a criminal. That's what I was trying to make people understand. And it does not mean the EFCC is liable. The only problem that we could argue about is that maybe once the EFCC says that, you have an investment objective or investment functionality, or you want to run an investment, maybe they will require that, you need to have a set license before they give you that. That's another discussion. Because if you look at the Nigerian CAC, for example, if I recall when I was in the country, if you want to register capital, if you want to register some financial words,
investment, Nigeria, bank, they won't register those names for you.
Exactly. They won't ask you for example, you want to ask you bank, they ask for CBN license. If you want to register capital, they ask you for, are you an accountant, certified accountant? They'll ask you for keywords. So maybe EFCC will have to do that in future, but they are not liable technically. I'm not a lawyer, but you're looking at the linear interpretation of their jurisdiction. They don't have any business with investment.
The answer is no. It's not legal because if you are selling securities, this is the differentiation in Nigeria. If you are selling securities, which means you are asking people in public, the key word is public. If an Olumide are in a bar, I told him I have this share I want to sell to you. It's for 10,000. Olumide give me 10,000, I give my share. Two of us are talking. SEC has no problem with that. If my brother or my girlfriend comes to me, I do a deal with her. SEC has no problem with that. But once I go to the radio, to Twitter, to anywhere, to the public, and I say, hey, I have this share, come and buy from me. SEC says you have to register to even say that. That's the problem. When EFCC is saying, I had the best in Nigeria, and they told me to come and I had money transfer, whatever. They told me, come and get EFCC license. I said, for what? It's just my book. I'm just sending the book. Why do I have to get EFCC license? Oh, because you have a bank account and you are receiving money. So I have to get EFCC license. Okay, but I'm not trading. I mean, what I'm trying to get to is that EFCC license is a bit too... People use it and say, I am cleared. That's the word. I am cleared by EFCC. See how I asked you my question?
Yeah, and they don't understand the fact that it's more of a security functionality and just for the enforcement agency to have you under their review. Because if you look at the incidents like this, for example, they are already connecting with the Interpol, the FBI, just to ensure that this gets settled. So you can understand why they are doing, but they have no oversight in the investment. But Kalu, me and you know this conversation. Many Nigerians, even those in the finance, and there's another problem again. A lot of people tell you that, okay, what if he's an accountant, he's a financial professional? Can you offer? I say the answer is no.
To the
because
public,
even if
no.
you look at how technical, if you look at how technical security exchange licenses, because a company has security exchange license does not mean it has a window of. There are different. There's fund management license, there's custodian, there's different. Yeah. There's so many. Exactly. There are so many. So you have to understand that even because you are a financial professional, you have 250 certifications, does not give you the luxury to offer investment products to the public without. And that's why I did that story for people to understand that, see, SEC is coming for celebrities and influencers. If you think that this one, that the days of, okay, you offer investment, because you see, Kalu, a lot of Nigerians get bonds, and many of them, out of shame, they keep quiet. And sometimes, if you look at DMs, if you look at comments, it pains you because many of them, it's not because they were just greedy. They had trust in the system. They believed that, okay, this, and the lack of understanding of how these things work. So the government is saying that, see, we are going to be more aggressive on influencers and celebrities. Because if you look at the crypto market, for example, crypto is not illegal in Nigeria.
Today.
But you see, but I cannot sell crypto to the public because I need a form of license to be accepted as an exchange or a broker. That's what people don't understand. So because an asset is not illegal, you have to also look at the person selling it or the person claiming to offer the services. Do they have the license? Do they? And SEC said that CBX does not have the security exchange commission.
Okay.
So technically, if they get their money, they should thank their stars.
They're not going to get the money back. Let us pray.
They
don't give anybody false hope. Someone asked me on TV, I said the money is gone. It's not coming back. The money is gone. Sorry. Don't give anybody false hope. The money is not coming back. The one with, what's this guy, SBK? What's that guy's name? What's that guy's name? The one in the US, the boy in the US. What's his name? SBK. What's that guy's name? The one that did the fraud now. The crypto guy. Oh my God.
Oh, Sam, SBF.
SBF
okay.
was, they had a bank, They had assets. They had collateral. So the guy that was appointed was able to go to the assets and grab those assets. The same with this gentleman, the older guy. Oh my God, what's happening to me? Madoff, Benny Madoff had.
Yeah, Madoff.
He had assets, but the guy was able to write to the folks that had withdrawn money and said, "Hey, you withdrew money. We're going to claw it back." In this case, the guys that these CBX people don't have any assets; they are passed through.
We don't even know them, Carl.
Okay, Oluwasegun is here. Let's ask him. I mean, what's going on, man? Oluwasegun Kosemani, what's happening? Why are you guys doing this thing to us? Unmute and talk to us about this. What happened with CBEX? What's going on? What should we watch out for?
How is CBEX my problem, my brother?
It's your people. You say they were selling crypto something. So
no, Kalu. You guys, senior man, you know that was an outright scam. You and Olumide, both of you know that was an outright scam, and it's so unfortunate.
But why was it going on for so long? And people were going in there. I mean, usually I tell people, if you see any offer, send it to me, DM. I'll tell you if it's fake. That's securities offer. Just send it to me. And I still have that offer up and running. People send me DM.
Nigerians are private when it comes. I think you need to understand different patterns of Nigeria. For example, if Nigerians want to travel abroad, if Nigerians want to invest in something you need to understand. See, that's why I said that we have the economic control problem. It's not just looking at bringing an American or an FBI agent to analyze that. No, it's a localized problem. You need to understand the behavioral patterns of Nigerians and why these things will continually persist, So, for example, Nigerians are quite secretive when it comes to money, when it comes to traveling, when it comes to health. So, they feel that, okay, and you have to understand why it's like that. Not really a bad thing, but these things create gaps. And we need to understand, okay, how we can minimize. And that's why I said that, see, rather than, if you cannot open up to Carlo, for example, you cannot speak to an investment banker, speak to a regulator, speak to somebody that you know that, okay, this person belongs to you can hold in case things go wrong, and you need an older man in the room. Because oftentimes, like you said, if someone had told you about CBEX, definitely you would have raised the red flag that, this return is not just, like I said, if you see what's like guarantee when it's not federal government assets, and you see that kind of return, it's already a red flag. Yeah. And the fact that you also even see that, but some people will say, okay, well, we don't used to see Binance, we don't see FTX, we don't see, but you see, there's so much legitimacy across those entities, because if you look at Binance, for example, it's registered in many markets. Yes, and still they've had issues, but they are registered. You can pinpoint the entities around them, But in the case of this, we can't even say who founded this. Look at the Brazilians that were jailed for a Ponzi scheme in Bitcoin Ponzi investment. The government was able to track because they used their forensic and it was so easy. Here in Nigeria, it's going to be a bit harder for us because it was a bit sophisticated. The exit card was well planned. It took them, according to the CAC restriction, registered in September 2024.
This is from September 2024.
So please, can I just?
Yeah, please. I want you to come explain to us what happened, so we can sort of learn what happened.
So thank you very much, Carl. I always love to come to your space, and thank you for sharing your platform, your honorable platform with me all the time. A scam is a scam, and I don't want us to call it a cryptocurrency scam. I mean, I know it's not even a Bitcoin scam, but if you check properly, you will realize that it is more of a fiat-enabled scam. And I would like us to holistically look at the value of fiat currency scams versus Bitcoin/cryptocurrency scams. Look, this thing happened, and I'm not even sad, and I'm not happy. Because I believe people who fell for it
Do you think they fell for it because it was crypto? Do you think it, because I heard this? Do you think it was?
That's what I'm saying. It's not over 800 billion to 3.2 trillion annual value is what happened with fiat currency scams, compared to just about 35 to 40 billion in 2024 when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So it's not even comparable.
So how much did they lose? How much did they lose in this scheme? Do you know how much was lost in this scheme? Do you have a number?
I mean, that's unverifiable, because there is the rumor of 1-point-something trillion naira, 820-something trillion US dollar, million US dollars, and nobody can verify. No one has the analytics of what transaction came from Nigeria.
But were they doing naira, or was it? Because I saw a woman on TV saying she put $200.
I never engaged in it. I don't even know anything about it. Guess what? I didn't hear until it became a scam.
No, I'm trying to figure out. This is Oyo State, right? This was in Oyo State. So I'm trying to figure out the amount of disposable capital that you have, $1 trillion, that people were took money from their bank and put it in this scheme. I mean,
just like what Tego is saying, like, so the wallet it went to was an not wallet, and it was not that it belonged to, I think, a popular crypto exchange. Because if you check the address, and like I said, it's very difficult for you to expatiate that it was 1.2 trillion. That was why even when I wrote it allegedly, I took it down, because I did deeper and I looked at it that it also came from other. I mentioned Kenya, Ghana. It wasn't just Nigeria.
It was just cumulative.
Yeah. We had.
So our name has entered bad market again. All right.
There is an organized. There's an organized sector, scam sector now. That's the eventual revenue from their scam is pulled together in a large wallet. We've traced some Bitcoin to a large pool, and we're wondering, wow, it's crazy. And I'm not even capping, like 3, 4, 5 Bitcoin in the last 4 months that we've been tracing. We can see the transactions, but it's getting into a larger and larger pool, and Interpol, a lot of people have their eyes on it. But overall, Kalu, what I would like to really suggest here, if we have got into that segment of the show, is
always
is knowledge matters. You have to educate yourself, make sure you are not vulnerable to these scams, and it starts from your education. Unrealistic returns exploit you, because you will not be able to sit down and zoom out and understand the position you are. Once you have a technical ignorance to any pitch in front of anybody and you see the numbers, you fall for it. You don't want to fall for that. So you want to learn the basics, especially this virtual asset time where ISA 2025 has been signed. Again, I'll use this opportunity to say big ups to Dr. Timi Agama and his SEC team. But guess what? This is where the biggest frauds will happen. I have predicted that bad actors may also want to take advantage of this opportunity, because people want to create coins and tokenize stuff, and we may have SPF, etc. That's why I like the onboarding strict measures that SEC have put in place. I'm trying to post something in the Nest, because Olumide mentioned it, but I can't post it, which states that you will go to jail for 3 years or pay 10 million naira if you're an influencer and you do not take you don't work with an approved organization, and you promote intentionally or unintentionally, paid or unpaid, Ponzi's or even unlicensed exchange business. So, and if you really, really want to succeed in this space, you have to pay attention to sex. So people really must also try to work with licensed organizations. A lot of us have not gotten our license yet, but we filed. We know we are working with the ARIC program closely, and I love what Dr. Tim is doing. It's not going to, although it's a little bit slow, but I think it's better to be slow than to get it wrong all through. Then avoid, there's some pitfalls we have to.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you, give me 1 or 2 things I should, if I'm a guy, I like this crypto thing, I want to invest, what are 1 or 2 things I should just not do?
Very well, thank you very much. The number one thing I would say is it's very hard, because I also have a business, right? It's very, very hard to say this truth. now that there is ISA 2025, because there is a law. So if I don't say this, if I position it as number 2, number 3, or number 4, then I'm not giving unadulterated, unfiltered education. So I would say the first one would be avoid the use of platforms that are not reputable, and I would tie that around unregulated platforms. And even the people that your family members, try to push them to go and regularize. This is the truth. I tell people, which is why I'm always coming out when you give a platform for expression like this. You say I jump on it locally and
that's one. That's one.
Yes,
The
second one is you must learn to verify transactions and secure your assets. I'll tell you how. The reason for Bitcoin, that bettered blockchain, is for you to be able to own and store your money. Everybody must learn how to use hardwares, how to understand seed phrase, protecting your seed phrase. Get familiar with 24 words, 12 words, understand two-factor authentication, avoid public Wi-Fi. Those things are basic phishing pitfalls that you can fall for. Giveaway scams, stay away from it. All those giveaway scams, romance imposter scams already have passed, so Nigerians don't fall for that. But pumps and dumps, very, very important red flags. You must run away from unrealistic returns, pumps and dumps, of fake ICOs. Those are very vital examples. Then verifying your transaction is also very, very important. You want to learn how to double check addresses. Some of these addresses are now compromised. So these are levels to you not falling for these scams. And I will not lie, try as much as possible, even if the platform you're dealing with does not have a SEC license, but you are very sure they are right. Check their compliance, check how their compliance operates. When you are signing up into a platform and it is no KYC, it's a little bit crazy. I'm a Bitcoiner and I promote non-custodial experience, right? But I have to also tell you what is happening is very, very important.
Just a last question for you, sir. Is there any? I know I've seen billboards. Crypto is legal. Is there a legal Nigerian-owned trading platform in Nigeria today?
That is them Roku. Don't mind them. That one I'm marketing with it. And it's true. It's actually correct what they said, because the president have signed the law and it passed through the National Assembly. First reading, second reading, third reading. It was wonderful the way Dr. Timmy did that quietly without any controversy around it. I mean, even though we know the CBN are not very... CBN is... they really tried, but they should completely give that free hand. Let the interoperability be simple and seamless.
So crypto is legal.
To your question, let me quickly answer your question. No vex. I just wanted to give that background. The truth is, there is Pusha, there is Quidax. Those are people who already have AIP, approval in principle. They don't have the full license yet, but they are there already. So, and I think they are representing well. I don't know about their reportage. I don't know if they are complying, but I believe that SEC did a good job by, using them as the foundation to learn how the space is. But I think that Dr. Timmy would like to onboard more people, maybe 5, 10, 15 more smart founders and product builders, so that it can, widen the scope. Plus the things they've learned from Pusha and Quidax, they can also implement in guiding the next space. This is the next financial space. Guess what? Let me predict this. All the banks and the Federal Republic of Nigeria will sell Bitcoin in banking. They will sell Bitcoin on their apps. They will sell. The interoperability between SEC and CBN is going to be very, very beautiful. If what Dr. Timmy, I think, is planning, if you look at all the moves that he's making, then it's going to be beautiful, except they allow politics make it spoiler. Okay,
good answer. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to add a few things to what Shegu said. So, I wanted us to look at also why our markets seem to suffer. So if you look at Trump, for example, when Trump created his token, for example, look at the number of Nigerians that invested in it. Now come to the stock market, for example, look at that. You see, the truth of the matter is that we also need to look at things not from the academic or the professional stand. We also need to look at, because I think we need to invest more with against culture and emotions. Nigerians will tell you that, Mimi coin does 3x, 4x. So naturally, the stock market is less attractive. And if you look at the meme space, there are good coins, but there are many terrible coins that we call rock pool, that you just invest and it's just like you're back to the village. So it takes us back to the next conversation, Carlo. Is it going to stop? The answer is no. The federal government allocated 10 billion according to the SEC for financial literacy. Now the question is, why is it going to work? My answer is that when I listened to what the SEC chair said, I was a bit disappointed. Now I'll tell you why. I am not in America, but I have attended the SEC American workshop many times on Clubhouse, on Spaces, and on meetings. And this is how they do it. You see, if you look at the SEC, if you look at SEC US, for example, they have SEC US, they have SEC education. Now, if you go to SEC education, for example, they will tell you, okay, you want to invest in these things, they will give you all the things you should watch out for. And if they see that you are confused, reach out to this number, reach out. So things are now democratized. Knowledge is now democratized. So you don't even need to be an American to understand the US stock market, and they are accessible. At certain sequence, they come on Space, they come on Clubhouse, they do enlightenment program, particularly on products. Like when we're arguing back and forth why Bitcoin is not a security and this and that, we understood the professional, and that helps knowledge. Now, if you're having 10 billion naira, for me, I think it's enough because, for example, if SEC allocates, once in a quarter, we'll come, maybe let's use Carlo Space, for example, to propagate, investment education. Let's look at how we could use schools, financial influencers, investment banks, because saying that they want to build offices in these, it was, to me, is a waste of, because first of all, I said Nigeria, Lagos, when they were, I've really been there, and I think that amount of money to build infrastructure will not, so they need to look at things holistically. I think SEC also needs.
Let me buttress your point, Olumide. You're very.
Hey guys, we're gonna let us. I want to get us to speak.
Just use like 15 seconds to say it's true, but unfortunately, maybe that's not how they are thinking. They have a SEC TV. Or digital TV program that they just launched. I've seen it on LinkedIn a couple of times. I'm just hoping that they can spread that across spaces. For example, Kalu Aja should be called and partnered with many of us. What I try to do is intentionally goes directly to the top man, get information and disseminate that information, bring him to places where people can hear from him. The last time we had a one-on-one with him was about 7 days ago. About 500 of us, and it was very interesting. He took questions and answered. Mr. Babatunde Obrima, the CEO of FinTech Nigeria, and his team organized a virtual asset session with the DG, and he took questions. He told us why some licenses have not been issued, why he would be issuing a license very soon, what you should do, yada yada. So I think that I'm not campaigning for SEC, but I just hope that the time will be enough for Dr. Timmy to be able to implement, move fast, create new millionaires positively without people being cheated, mitigating all that risk, create new companies that can employ people, help Nigeria generate that revenue for real, because CIT and the other 7.5 that they want to be collecting, when business flourishes for real with international partnerships. For example, I love the fact that if you want to come and set up here, you must have a physical office, employ a Nigerian, have a Nigerian CEO. That's very beautiful. So a Coinbase, Binance cannot come here and compete without hiring a local person, and that's local content, human capacity development. So overall, if it is implemented well without them policing too much, which will stifle innovation and let people show them how it will also work, synergizing intentionally, sincerely, without favoritism, avoiding politics. There's something I would have loved to post to the next, but I don't know what Mr. Kalu do. It's basically what SEC should responsibly do, and I think they are doing it. I put these things in presence of Dr. Timmy all the time, and he's listening.
All right.
You can chime with him. So let's hope that it works well. But in another 1.5 years, 2 years, we go begin to see as wind they blow. We go know whether Fire Yansh go open or not.
All right, perfect, guys. I mean, we're still back to this issue of education, unemployment, young folks with phones that don't Google to verify investment options, the fear of missing out. These are all what's driving this whole, Ponzi scheme. So let me get Stan. Stan, you've been here for a while. Stan O'Righteous, you've heard what we're talking about. What's your take? What's going on?
Yeah, Carlo, good evening, and good evening, everyone on the speakers train and listeners. Also, good shout outs to Oluwaseun. I just wanted to chip in one or two things. And before I go, I want to answer the question. Carlo asks, what should we be wary about when going into the crypto space or whatever? And I'll answer that question by saying, be wary of counterparty risks. And anyone who knows me very well knows that whenever I talk about crypto or Bitcoin, I try to differentiate these two, right? With Bitcoin itself, once you have your seed phrase, you have avoided everything that has to do with counterparty risks. But then when it comes to the crypto space, you still work with intermediaries. And when you work with intermediaries, there are always room for, these are counterparties, and there are always room for, you can call it failure, scam, whatever, because something doesn't even have to be a scam for you to lose money, right? There are some things you also lose money on. But the essence of people trying to invest is just because they want to outperform, they want to make some money, right? And the next question you asked is crypto legal? And I don't want to like to use that word crypto, because most times when we say crypto, we just put everything into one basket. And so I usually differentiate crypto from Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin does not have any counterparty risk. And this is what you need to protect yourself from any form of scam or rug pull. But then, when we try to differentiate crypto or Ponzi scheme, some people I just want to make people understand. I want to differentiate these two things. With crypto, it's just you're working with a protocol, and this protocol is just a tool, right? Now, it's just, the example is, let's say, Mr. Kalu, you hold a knife. That knife is just a tool. You can decide to use that knife to stab someone, or you can decide to use that knife to cut onions. Now, that you use the knife to stab someone does not mean that knife is a bad instrument, right? It is the intention of the person that used it. So, crypto, in terms of the protocol, they are designed in the way where you can use it for many things, right? And then it depends on the mindset, or it depends on the
yeah, but hold on. I don't. It's not a crypto space, right? I just want to focus.
I was still going to.
Yeah, just.
You were talking about CPEX.
No. Just make it simple, because we're not. What did they do wrong? Like, if there were many guys that I saw in the video on NTA that were crying because they thought it was an investment. I just want to know, for those guys, what did they do wrong?
Well, CPEX is a Ponzi scheme.
We know that, but like, what should they have picked up on? How should they have invested? These are the tips I want to, so folks can say, okay, next time.
Okay, when somebody is promising you 100% return in 30 days,
we know that.
You should know that.
But is there any like technical crypto things you should have looked at? Is because I know the investment side, but is there anything you guys know that, okay, this is fake? Is there anything you can say on the crypto side, tech side?
They just use what CBEC did was to use crypto as a tool to run a Ponzi scheme.
Gotcha.
This was why I was trying to differentiate between crypto and Ponzi. They use crypto as a tool to perpetuate a Ponzi scheme. The same way you can use fiat as a tool to perpetuate a Ponzi scheme. So it's not about the crypto, it's about what's the perpetuation of a Ponzi scheme.
I hear you.
So anything can be used.
That's fine. No, you're right. I hear you. Go ahead.
I can't hear you. You're breaking.
Okay, let me quickly tap in for Stan. I think, Stan, you have a bad network, but I didn't hear the things where they talk, but and Mr. Kalu is agreeing with you, but maybe you're getting a feedback that is not straightforward. But I think you should just stay skeptical if you can hear me, right? Stay skeptical. Kalu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I hear you. Stay paranoid. The paranoid survive.
Yeah.
Okay. No worries. Let me get Ugo. Ugo, how you doing? You've been listening in here. What's your take, Ugo? What's happening? Did you invest in CBEX?
Yeah, I'm good.
Did you
hear me?
Yes, I can. Did you invest in CBEX?
No. So my friend invested in CBEX. So
how much did he lose?
He invested like $600.
What?
So I would just give like a backstory to how everything happened, right? So me, I've been in the crypto space since like 2021. You get, and I'm like that. I've taught some people, right? But like how I always teach people is that I always teach them what not to do, and I'm like I always do not tell them what I invest in, because what they invest in is their bloody business, right? So when he comes to me, right, and he tells me that his sister is telling him about something that is crypto related, 100% return, and I'm like, bruh, you will lose your money, man. It's not possible, right? And I'm like, he now said like that I'm like, he'll think about it. I said, bruh, like, do not do it. You would lose your money. He now said his sister has made money. I said, look at the news, guy. Like, Trump is giving everybody in crypto sleepless nights. Like, where, like, the people that are paying these guys the money, where are they getting the money from? Because I do know that there's no AI bot that is able to predict maybe like when Trump wants to destroy the market, that it would tell that it would know that it has to short. It's not possible, except if maybe that is from the future. But he did not listen. So like 1 week later, he said he's going to send his sister the money. I said, oh, okay, no, Allah. But it will crash. Do you understand? And this is somebody that is well educated. Do you understand? He went to school. Do you understand? He's intelligent. But I'm telling him, based on everything that I know, and he still went ahead. Because I mean, at the end of the day, most people would listen to their family members.
Does he have a job? Does this guy have a job?
Yes, he has a job.
Is he like?
He has a job.
Is he like a starter, middle management? Do you know how much he earns? Like round figures? I'm just trying to get a demographic of this guy.
I would say that he's in tech.
He's in tech.
He's like quite not. Yes, do you understand? He's in
tech. Can be very tough. So if he didn't find money,
I would say that okay. Like one thing that I've come to realize is that people would always listen to their family members. That's one thing that.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Like, no matter how you feel that you know something is bad, okay, stay away from this. Cause so I would give a backstory. So I have a friend that told me she wanted to use Patricia, right? Back then when they were doing the Big Brother stuff, and I laughed and I said, do not put your money there. That if you want to use an exchange in crypto, just use one that has survived the test of time. You get that. Do not put your money there. Because I said, oh, okay, that's why are they even sponsoring Big Brother? It doesn't make sense. You get that. I feel it would crash. And Patricia crashed. Do you understand? And her money was saved. Like, I would say that there are some things that are just that it's hard to understand why people do it.
No, but like I said, when I hear you, bro. When I said the power of Ponzi schemes is that it's word of mouth. People tell you it's working, and really, you put money in there, it works. So it's very powerful. That's the point I'm about listening to their family. It works because
that's why you have to cross-check influencers' endorsements.
Yeah, but when you guys say influencers, if you're in the US, Kim Kardashian was fined because she made an endorsement. But they are finding influencers because they're not paying taxes. They're not going after them really because they are influencing. They are saying, listen, you influenced, you made money, you didn't pay us taxes. It's difficult to say, if I wear a t-shirt that has Bitcoin, am I influencing for Bitcoin?
Are you saying that influencers are not being charged for crypto? Because I've written stories on that space, crypto and financial. Because the law, there are certain requirements. For example, I think the latest one was 50 cents. I can't remember the name.
What I'm saying is that it's difficult to say somebody is influencing. Kim Kardashian is eating chocolate or ice cream with 15 girls, and he says, "Oh, I want to pay with my crypto wallet." Is she influencing?
No, that's different. So, for example, what this is what they are talking about. So, for example, you initiate or you recommend a project like there are so many rock. I don't want to give names. There are influencers that initiated rock pool projects, for example, investment product. That's what tech is talking about.
Understood.
You know? Yeah, if you look at it very clear, I know what you are trying to say. There are some that is a bit complex. So, for example, maybe snapping a PNB Paribas bank, for example, talking about, it's a bit technical, but we're talking of outright, like
go and buy and all that. Okay, good. Amazing point. No problem. Let's get Eze Chikwelu. Eze, how you doing?
I'm good, Carlo. Carlo, thank you for having me. Every other person on the space, I send my regards. Carlo, I have a question for you and Olumide. But before then, I want to ask your very good friend, Oluwasegun, a question. But before then, I want to say this. In my thinking, the essence of government in finance is to protect the people. That's why we have the SEC and the rest, right? But the guys in crypto, especially Oluwasegun, I'm happy that you're here today, right? You guys come up and you talk about the beauty of decentralized finance, how people cannot control you, like they control you on fiat and all that. And I look at it and I wonder, and I always tell my friends, please be careful, don't go into this, right? Oluwasegun, I heard you saying, I hope I'm pronouncing your name very well, Oluwasegun, yes. I heard you saying people should ensure, right, that that whatever entity they want to go into has a SEC approval, right? Like the CBEX thing. Now, to me, it contradicts the essence of decentralization. Maybe I don't know it very well. And
okay.
This question.
I don't want to talk crypto. No. Please. But I don't want to talk crypto. I don't want the space to go to crypto. So go ahead, but please, I don't want to go to a crypto space.
I understand, but CBEX has a crypto element to it, right? So to Oluwasegun, I want to understand, right? We seeking to understand SEC having his certificate of okay on any entity before we go into that. Does that not contradict the decentralization or the decentralization concept within the crypto? That's the question I want you to answer. That's number one. To Carlo and Olumide. Olumide, I saw your tweet that said that CBEX had SEC certificate, right? And I wonder,
SEC or CAC? He said they had CAC.
Olumide, correct me. I saw your
CAC, not SEC.
I saw your tweet.
He said CAC.
I can clearly say that it didn't have SEC, and I announced the fact that the Securities Commission stated that the digital exchange did not have any form of regulation from the entity.
Okay, because Olumide, that was what I wanted you to clarify. Thank you for clarifying. That was what I actually wanted you to clarify, because I was wondering if they had SEC certificate, what else would Nigerians do to ensure security before they go into their space? But if you retracted that tweet, then fine. Or if I misunderstood it, fine. So Oluwasegun, please, can you answer that question? Carlo, thank you.
Thank you very much, Eze Chikwelu. It's an interesting question, and I'll just tell you that whether it is virtual asset, crypto, or financial space, regulation is very important. So bodies like Central Bank and SEC are encouraged to likely intensify scrutiny, around whatever it is that can affect Nigerian investors and people that play in the financial space. So the decentralization of Bitcoin as the apex cryptocurrency in the asset class space, does not have anything to do with geopolitics and, jurisdictional laws and regulation. You must understand that the reason for Bitcoin has nothing to do with central banks. So they are just playing their own game. But you and I need to be regularized. If it comes to equity, you must come with clean hands. If you really want to make money from the country, you want to be allowed to play fairly. Money sitting on the sideline wants to come in through the front door without any fear and doubt. Nobody wants to be looking at their shoulder. The large economy that will boost revenue it's not that want to play in the black market. They want to come to the open. So I think SEC and everything around governance are only doing the right thing, and that's the only thing they have to do to ensure Nigerians at least secure some substantial amount from the stolen funds from using CBEX. And I think I have answered that your question. Bitcoin remains decentralized, is finite, is scarce. All of those things cannot happen again, cannot be beaten. Anybody can write thesis, but they would experience Bitcoin when they are ready to experience it. They're talking about celebrities that got involved in these unregulated and or crypto scams like Kim Kardashian, because Olumide mentioned her name. It's not only DJ Khaled, Floyd Mayweather. These guys paid SEC in the US to as much as 600,000, for undisclosed promotion. So some of the guys on X today will start to pay big money. It's very, very important. Number one, they have bastardized the space for some of us that are very legitimate in this space, because somebody will just come and be promoting meme coins as if it's an investment, and that's gambling. It's worse that people are doing sporty and all of that, and then you're promoting NFTs and all these things that really make no sense. Why don't you truly promote something that is legitimate? Stop encouraging people and showing them Lamborghinis and Phantom Rolls Royces and apartments that you borrowed or sponsors gave you to enjoy over the weekend at Eco Continental, etc. That's not how it should be. So I align with SEC in that area, although that's taking food from the mouth of ordinary Nigerians. But sometimes this is where it is important to discipline that sector. So you must communicate with anybody that is coming to give you money and say, have you registered at least? Okay, what are you doing to make sure that you're not going to be scamming people? If you're going to be charging somebody for an endorsement, if it's too juicy, then it is not real, because the products have not even sold anything and they are ready to pay you 50-100 million to push. That's terrible. That's a bad one. So I advise against it, and I'll just tell people to spot scam again. It's very, very important that and Kalu this is not making this space about crypto, but because we are mentioning SEC and CBEX, all these things, you have to really understand which is a fiat scam, which is a crypto scam. There are pig butchering, there are rug pulls, there are phishing, there are different types of scams, giveaway scams, investment scams. They come in different languages. They say it is a crypto fund, the app promises high returns, yada, yada, yada. They tell you what has happened in the past. The scammers try to build trust, right?
All right.
They use different...
we got to move on. I hear you.
So you have to be very careful.
I come and hear you. So, I'm a simple guy. When you would go into crypto, people get, see, if anybody's offering you a return that is way away from the risk rate in Nigeria, it's a red flag. Whether it's crypto, property, farm, fixed deposit, even bank deposit, even a registered bank is telling you maybe bring money and we'll pay you 50%. No, you have to ask questions. Red flag doesn't mean it's illegal. It means dive deeper. Do your due diligence. That's the whole idea. You've got to ask. It's your money. You work for that money. If someone can make 50%, why is it asking you to bring money? Why can't he just borrow money and do it himself? Ask those simple questions. You don't have to be a maths or investment genius. Just ask simple, basic questions. By law in Nigeria, they've got to put your registration certificates on the wall. So if you go to the company, look out for their CAC, look out for their EFCC, but look out for their SEC as well. See what they're registered to do. If a company has a SEC license to issue bonds and is selling equities to you, you don't ask questions. So you don't make it too. I don't want to make it too complicated for you guys to follow. We're not talking about the guys that are interested in greed. We're talking about the real folks that just want to make an investment, want to invest, and people are duping them. Those are the guys we're doing this space for. All the other guys that are looking for 100,000% in one day, it's God that will answer you, not me. Yeah, April, hi. What's going on, man? You see what we're talking about? Yeah, April, go ahead. I think you're. Man, audio, man. April, see, you have me on speakers when I talk. There's feedback. So if you can take that feedback off, we can hear you. Take me off on thingy, I guess, and I'll just go ahead and speak. Yeah, and Mr. Fritz, how you doing, sir? Mr. Fritz, did you invest in CBEX, Mr. Fritz? So you can't talk. I cannot hear this guy. Stock bubble, what's up? What's on your mind? Talk to us.
I am very fine. Thank you so much, Mr. Kalu. Can you hear me though?
I can hear you. And as stock, it's good that you're here. So also in stock market, we also have the red flags we should watch out for, right? People are saying buy this, buy that. But overall, what's your take on this crypto thing? Is it greed or is it just lack of information? What do you think really is driving the young folks to? I mean, you look at that place where the company was. It's a nice building in the States, but you see the people that are investing. A lady came from Libya, had $200, put $20 in, and she's lost the whole thing. So is it that people don't? They know. I think people know there's something up with this thing, but I think they're trying to get their money before it crashes. What's your take?
For me, I think people are not completely unaware of the risk there. So from the narrative I've been hearing and the sentiment, it's like people just want to get in and out quickly so that they can make their own profits. And I've even had some people recommending it to others, being fully aware that they need to quickly go in and come out as soon as possible. So once you get your capital back, every other thing you get is Jara on top. They don't mind that they are doing it at the expense of another person. And it's just unfortunate on that level. And when you talk about red flags, if you say unrealistic returns, see, I've been involved in crypto also because I like to diversify, so it's not just stocks. So if you're familiar with that terrain, you will know that to get yields above 50% is really not outrageous. You get it often. So people are used to having high returns on their investments in cryptos. In fact, you know about mining. Recently, people were tapping to get money from crypto, something that wasn't solidified, but just that expectation that it might turn out to be something good. People are already jumping into it. So when they hear 100% return, they're like, okay, for sure, this is crypto space. It's a wild space. So yeah, it can happen. People have a little bit more faith in doing that. So that is one thing I know about the crypto space that really needs a little bit of caution from everybody that is getting involved.
Are we picking on crypto? Are we picking on crypto?
Don't mind him.
Are we picking
Don't
on?
mind stock bubble.
No, I'm just asking. Do you think? Okay, let me. When you hear crypto, do you hear fraud, or when you hear crypto, do you hear what do you hear when you hear crypto? Honest.
When I hear crypto, the first thing that comes to my mind is caution. It's like a big red flag. Be very cautious, because if you're not technically savvy, you have to be. You have to be lucky to get a head start. When I started crypto, I fell into some scams, even scams that were like support scams. Someone will just reach out to you and you're on a platform and you're trying to get something. Maybe you transferred your crypto to another wallet and you just want the headway, and you just post this out in the group. And someone will reach out to you bilaterally and say, okay, thank you for posting this. We are supportive. We can help you with this. And then, so there's a lot of corruption. And if you're not aware and you're not technically savvy, you get swept off and you wouldn't really want to test the waters again. But it's also a learning curve, so I already know what I'm looking out for crypto. And to be fair to Olusegun, is a Bitcoin Marxist, and you hardly find this in Bitcoin. Other crypto, I would say that stable coins are used for this type of Ponzi's because it is easy to deal with and withdraw. So it's not volatile like Bitcoin, for example, or other cryptos. So if they just use other cryptos, it might be $5 today, and then tomorrow it's gone to $1. Okay. So they wouldn't want to do that. They want to use stable coins. It's easier to withdraw, and it's pegged to real world currencies. So I guess that's the reason why it's a preferred medium of use.
Okay. Mr. Cali, can I
not really. No,
guy.
You can.
He's my guy.
No, but I'm saying it's not that we're not attacking. Well, this is knowledge. So he's telling you
Absolutely.
that when I say Mercedes, people think wealthy German. When I say BMW, and he's just telling you what it's not a rebut. And it's not you. It's not crypto. It's not you.
But on your space like this, when we come, we rarely get this platform because your space is always scheduled busy. So when he comes like that, he puts the fear in the hearts of people. He puts thought out there.
I think he's simply reflecting. I think he's reflecting. He's just reflecting. Listen, why I was that question is me just trying to tell you and others that this is what people feel. There was a long time ago when banks had this issue. Failed banks. There was a failed bank tribunal. Bank MDs were by the military, Abacha. A long time ago. If you put money in the bank, you put money in the bank, it was Kalo. The bank might close tomorrow. A long time ago, before we had all this NDIC, it was wild west. Then Abacha came. Abacha came and all that, did a few things. Then now we now have banks that looked at. If you say bank, you look at, okay, this is the solid place to go and hide your money. It won't give you returns per se, but your money is safe. And because they worked on it. So the feedback is you just got to work. It's a new industry. I get it. It's a new industry.
But this thing that you said, Carlo, you just interpreted what I was going to say. That fiat scams benefit from mature regulatory systems. It's very, very important for us to know that. Crypto is still dangling under evolving regulation. So if there is anywhere scam is perpetrated, it is the 800 billion to 3.2 trillion fiat scams that exist as against 40 billion in cryptocurrency. And this is basically driven by the dominance of the traditional fiat system. The expertise in the money laundering that happens in the fiat currency space.
I knew you were going to say that. I hear you. I knew you were going to say that.
The problem is that evolving regulation. The fact that fiat has already matured in counter terrorism financing frameworks, anti-money laundering frameworks,
gotcha.
and crypto, Bitcoin, and of course has a very good governance system. But crypto at large, they are just evolving under SEC all around the world. It's creating a gap, for people that want to come out of the bad experiences, the impoverishments that fiat has put them. So they look for quick exit, and they see something that they have heard positive news about. They want to get into it without education. They get burnt. That's why we tell them about BTC.
Okay. All right, no worries. Let's get AfriBull. Let's hope AfriBull's audio is better. I really want to hear his take. AfriBull.
Hi, Carl. Is it better?
Way better. The other one had the echo. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So, thanks for the time to speak. But a lot has been said, and I think with this...
Did you invest in CBEX?
No, that's not even... Anything promise you above risk-free rates. People say 100%, but even above risk-free rates monthly, that's already a telltale sign.
But so, do you think those guys were ignorant, that they did not know this thing we were saying? That if I'm not, yeah, go ahead.
There's a degree of greed. Definitely. I think people, and you can tell because there are smart people who fell for this. There are people in banking who fell for this. People who work in banks, who advise clients against this, fell for this. So there was a bit of like, oh, I'm the sharpest guy who I'll get out before it goes down. And of course, this guy, CBEX, they really laid on this referral program, getting families and friends to bring in and refer. That also
red flag.
Yeah, that's a red flag, but it takes down your defenses a bit, because when your brother or your cousin is like, oh, I'm in this, I've made this money, people, well-meaning people will be less defensive and look into it, because okay, if my brother is making this money, maybe I'll make money too. But what I'm trying to say, not because the alarm has been said, I think most things have been touched on. It's the key thing for me is diversification, because registered or not registered, these scams are going to continue. This CBEX is not the last. This is not the last one. There's going to be another one. I don't know when.
Of course.
Maybe there's going to be another one.
Of course.
It's probably bigger than this one, because it's getting more advanced. Even with registered securities, registered platforms, things are getting more advanced. Not just crypto, fiat. You're gonna get these scams in any format, any sort of financial product. These scams are going to be there. And the only way I see, as things get more advanced, the only way I see is diversification. Not putting all your eggs into one instrument or one product. I'm being wise about, obviously looking out for the basics of it being registered, it being having the necessary paperwork, some track record. Not looking at buzzwords, but even that can be faked. With enough effort, that can be faked as well. CBEX is, I think, rather, as far as crypto, one of the more advanced ones is the standard Ponzi scheme, but they use this crypto platform to really push it. But someone else is going to do it better, where investment professionals can still fall for it. Fiat, you have the law in fiat as well, where investment professionals fall for scams. They fall for Ponzi schemes. It just depends on how well the person is running it, is doing it, how properly they're doing it. So the only way I see, realistically, without going into any, he said, she said advice is diversification. You have to, you really have to be discerning. If you're going to be investing, know how you're putting your money. Not betting everything on one horse, not putting everything on one platform. Especially with crypto, I mean, you can have your own. I mean, Bitcoin solves a lot of this issue, or you can have a hard ledger. You don't have to rely on a platform, or at least if you must take some of it out, hold it. You can split how you store it. And same thing with your money as well. So I think diversification on when you invest it's not going to solve the problem, but will ease the pain when it does happen. Will ease the pain of a loss. I think everything else really has been said.
Let me tell you the story. I have a friend. She's schooled abroad. She's back in Nigeria. She has a fancy supermarket, sells very fancy stuff. Very, very wealthy and educated. She told me, this was doing Nospecto. You guys know Nospecto. She told me she had 44 million naira in Nospecto. This was like years ago, Nospecto, 44 million. And she's not taking it out. She started up with 4 million. She got her principal back. She left the money there, told all her friends. She's made so much money. She left 44. She knew it was going to crash. But every month it doesn't crash. It's just pure profit for her. That's the bulk of the guys that are doing these deals. Because this Ponzi thing is very, very, it's a very, very smart investment. Because you have a core of people that would never take their money out, even if they know it's fraudulent. So anytime you go there, you get paid. Anytime you go, you get paid. So you look like the idiot. So you hear this space, then you quickly rush to your local Ponzi scheme. You say, no, my money's going to crash. That guy on Twitter said my money's going to crash. You take the money out. Your friends are still there. They get paid next month. They're laughing at you. You listen to Kala and Lumide. So you go back and put the money in. It's like musical chairs. The day the music stops, you are not sitting down. You're done. So I like the point you make about diversification. You just can't know.
It's very hard to
Nigeria.
They're very smart people. They're very smart people that come with this.
And it's everywhere. Okay, you do property, they are there in property. They'll tell you, don't buy the property, buy the CFO of the whatever. You go let me go and buy palm oil. There is patience waiting for you there. Don't buy palm oil. You buy the storage of the palm oil. You leave agriculture and you now let me go and do farm. I don't want to do it again. You go and they'll say, no. Buy pig farm, we'll give you 25% in 1 month. You leave that one and go to bank. Oh, why are you doing bank? Let's do people. So it's everywhere, and the central theme, the only thing I can link with everyone is this high rate of return. High rate of return. But if you talk to a finance guy, they'll tell you the volatility is the return. That if you're risky, isn't what capital asset pricing model says? High risk, that high return. That's what it says. So to a lay guy, the guy will tell you if you put money for bank, low risk, low return. If you put money for CAPX, high risk, high return, which is not true. But it sells itself because it sounds nice to go. Again, do you guys know that Ponzi schemes itself are not even illegal? They are not in itself illegal. It's that it's not registered. It's not registered because the currency we have in our pocket is a Ponzi scheme. But that's a different topic entirely.
No, that's a different topic.
I should not go there, be
If we open that, that's a different
topic. Okay, let's
Carlo, can I say something towards what you've just said, please, for 1 minute? Right. I think the difference between every other thing we've listed here is the fact, every other asset class we've listed here is the fact that if it happens within the fiat space, if it happens in agriculture, if it happens anywhere else, there's someone to be held accountable. There's someone to take to court.
Good.
I've lost money in the US market, and I sat at home talking about it. And a few weeks later, I got a letter saying there's an asset. Sorry, there's a court case against these guys. There's a class act against these guys. Just fill this up. Show us the proof that you bought this. Tell us the amount you bought it on, and you get your money back. And Carlo, I got my money back. The challenge within the crypto space, I'm not shooting against Oluwasegun, is the fact that when it comes there, these guys disappear. And you know why Nigerians fall into it? Carlo, I want you to pay attention to this. You are not limited on this street, right? People always come up with this argument. Oh, in the last 5 years, in the last 10 years, crypto has given the highest return. Way more than this, way more than that. So whenever we do that comparison, whenever we compare cryptocurrency against other asset class, we are simply advertising it. And this is what someone actually told me that 2 days ago when I talked about this CBEX thing, that, crypto has given highest return. What are you talking about? Right? So I'm just putting it there so we know. Now, when we compare this asset class, we are simply telling people who are listening to us, who may not know much, say, this is the direction to go if you want to turn 1 naira into 1 million. But the other classes, there's someone to be held accountable. There's someone to hold. There's someone to put in jail. I have been a victim to that, and I was saved. I got my money back, right, with the proof. So I just have to put it out there for us to know that this whole thing is just up in the air. Carlo, thank you.
Interesting take. Giddy, talk to us. Giddy, are you a CBEX? Right. Were you a CBEX? So have you been duped by a Ponzi scheme in the past?
All right, okay. Thank you for the privilege. I appreciate this. Okay, so I wasn't. I did put my money in CBEX. Of course, it was sold to me by someone, but immediately I had it. I already knew what it was. All right, and should I say I've had the experience with Ponzi schemes in the past. I've actually lost money to them in the past, so I've learned my lesson, and I know that I know them from afar.
How do you know them? Give me a hint.
Yeah, I mean, number one, unreasonable returns, right? Unreasonable returns, meaning, okay, how do you expect to get 100%, even in a year? If you offer me 100% in a year, I'm going to raise my eyebrows, let alone in a month, right?
What if I think that's a normal return? If I've never invested before, I think all investments are 100%. What if I don't know that investments don't give 100% return? Because my brother ships container and he makes 100%. So why can't crypto give me 100%?
Yeah, that's what this comes in, financial education. That's one thing I see that there are two things that I identified, which is one reason why we keep falling into this. Number one is financial illiteracy, which some of the people that actually fell victim to this had, because some people actually genuinely thought, oh yeah, it's real, because they saw evidence, right? Their friends showed them the alerts and all of that, and they were like, oh, I mean, it works here, so why won't it work for me, right? Some people actually lacked financial education, which that's why I'm really proud of what you people are doing here, educating Nigerians. That's number one. The number two is the lack of understanding of value that we have. There's a fundamental problem that we have, which is a lack of understanding of how value works, right? A typical average Nigerian wants to make money. I mean, it might not even just be Nigerian, but most people, they want to make money. Of course, we're all looking for the easiest way possible, but some people want to make money without doing anything. Yes, it is possible when we talk about investing, passive investment, but there is a level where you don't want to do anything, but you want to make 100%. How does that work? Number two, even the company you're investing in, what is their value? How are they making money? How do they translate value into money? Because then essentially it is value that translates to money. That's why we talk about investing in yourself, educating yourself, acquiring more skills so that you have more value to offer the market and they make more money. So this company, what value are they offering? Tangible value are they offering that makes them money? You understand? That's one thing that I see that we lack, and it's one thing that I think we need to start educating ourselves and our children. Because for me, for example, I don't think I can't remember having a discussion, maybe having a discussion with my parents about value, about, of course, when value in terms of being being an honest human being, being straightforward, those kind of things. But in terms of how money works, that's okay. But you work to make money. Like, there has to be value put down. You have to plant the seed for you to expect an harvest. There has to be some sort of value exchange for money, and you don't expect an unreasonable value exchange. For instance, let me say I say, oh, tomorrow they tell me I want to be like pilots make the most money, and I'll say, oh, tomorrow I want to be a pilot without the training. It cannot happen, no matter what, no matter how much fancy.
But I see it happening. I see folks buy Mercedes-Benz because they are trading coins. I see this guy flying first class because he bought this investment, sold it, and he made a coin. I see it, and nobody has said it's impossible. The guys that say it's impossible are just jealous. But I see people making money. I see it. So who is wrong here?
Most of them. Most of them.
Go ahead. Okay. So the thing is, you might find the odd, like for instance, CBEX. There are people that made a killing from it, right? The people that made money from it, even though you could question the morale, because they knew that most of them knew that they were doing it on the back of other people's tears in the future. But there were still people that made money from it. But is that enough reason to say, oh, because of that? I mean, I saw evidence, right? Like I told you, I was sold the idea as well. But I knew that no matter what, even if they're making 1 billion%, I'm not going to put one over there, because I just, I've settled it in me that no, something like this, I'm not going to touch it.
Okay.
Right. So that's what I'm saying, that's value. That's if for instance, now that's one thing that you see maybe I feel like maybe it's because of the prevailing level of poverty we have. Most families, they are even just trying to barely get food to eat. Nobody really is thinking of training their children on investing, training their children on how to build wealth, how value works. Most people are just thinking of the next meal, face to face, and all of that. So maybe that's the issue we're having.
I hear you. Because so look at my point. Everybody wants to play soccer because we know folks that are making money from soccer. Right?
Yes.
So we know people that are making money from crypto. So that's really, the message is being distorted at the street level because we are not getting through to those young folks to say this is not the way. It's the same. So I hear you. I'm just being,
or maybe not exactly this is not the way, but telling them to get, do your research.
Do your research.
Teaching them how to do their research. It's possible for a young kid to grow up to become like Osimhen, right? That's not. But do your research. What does it take?
Gotcha.
To do it? What are the things I need to put in the effort?
Well said.
Not that, I'm just dreaming it and it will happen.
Yeah, let me go ahead.
Do your research. Find out.
Yeah, I just wanted to add some things to the context. So just be back with data, because we're having a financial conversation. So I try to figure out why Europeans fall less to scams than any other set of people in different continents. And if you understand, if you look at it, one of the advantages America has is that, despite the fact that it's a highly materialistic society, personal finance is quite high. I think the latest data shows that about half Americans understand personal finance. So that is quite high. But if you look at the Europeans, for example, materialism is lower. And even assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, it's not so popular, even in the Western world, when you talk about other, compared to many things. And the question is, you see that it's very difficult for you to come in on Lamborghini, driving on these things, saying all these things to sell investment products to an average Frenchman or German, or despite the fact that everybody wants things good. So you now come back to Nigeria. So I don't just want to agree with the fact that poverty, because we used to argue here is that the country, people are so poor. Because look at the average guy talking on Twitter. People invest there. I heard somebody putting 40,000. I heard a lawyer putting 15,000. I heard a financial professional that works in a top investment bank. Because this one is he put 7 million naira DM.
In the CBEX thing.
So, yes, I told someone that works, and this is not somebody that, this is someone that has top certifications. So the question to me was like, because I tried to figure out why we keep falling into this trap. So the question, the context is that, you see, that's where I found out this kids making and all these Lamborghini stories. And look at what is trending today, for example. Somebody's crying, somebody is doing the, and we now, when problems now come in, you want to solve. In medicine, they say prevention is better than cure. You see, you cannot build a society that shows so much effect, shows get rich so fast, insult people that, even though they are intelligent, but because they don't have much to show for it, you make them look like losers, make women look like trophies. You see, it all takes down to all these things. And that's why I said that, see, I like, that's why I like reading New York Times and Wall Street Journal, because when you read economists, top economists, they don't just talk from, and they talk from behavioral perspective. Because you see, when we human beings are not 1 + 1. You need to understand why Nigerians are kind of aggressive when it comes to money, why Nigerians like when it comes to money, when it's not because we are bad people, no, the society. So we need to start looking at why is it, because you can't be watching investors Sabino's 24 hours and expect to understand SEC rules on Ponzi scheme.
You have to go there.
Yeah, so no. I'm just trying to make us, to be honest here, that we also have our role to play, because we really need to check ourselves to that. We want to expose ourselves.
But let me ask you, do you have the data for Kenya? Kenya is almost like Nigeria. We have English-speaking, young IT people. Do they also fall victim to this thing?
Yeah. So the behavior patterns of Kenyans and Nigerians are kind of similar. That's what I've noticed. And if you look at despite the fact that we're English speaking, we kind of have similar demographics based on what I've seen. And the CBEX data, I don't know about their financial literacy level. I don't know. But I feel that we are kind of similar in so many things. But if you look at those that fell for it, Kalu, they were middle class people. Many of the people that I saw on BBC, and they were middle class people. We're not really peasant people that could afford above the minimum wage. They were doing decent jobs. Like the people, how many Nigerians, because for you to be able to exchange your money to dollars, you are not poor. In Nigerian context, you are not poor. Once you can afford to transact in the dollar, you are not poor in Nigeria.
You are dollar middle class.
Everybody that invests in CBEX was not poor. So let's throw away that argument. The next one again is that anybody that invested in CBEX was not really an illiterate, because you need some form of education to understand that you need to send this to a certain address, you are going to get certain. So it's not the literacy level. So it's the ignorance, arrogance, the culture, and you see, the government really needs a lot, because Carlo, I've always said that if we keep encouraging material, Americans, they have a way of specifying materialism. If you look at finance, if you are a great thinker, you're relevant in America. Those that have PhD, they have a space in America. If you're a musician, you have a space in America. Everybody has space in America. Nobody is downgraded. That is a society. In Nigeria, it's really about who has the money, who has the coins, and we are now doing it. So I think we really need to go to the roots before we start. That's my own opinion.
Interesting. Let me thank. That's good insights. Good one. Let's get Femi. Femi, how you doing? Femi Femo.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm doing very good. I'm doing very, very good. I'm gonna make this just a little bit. So I like what I'll say is one, education. That's one. So the average, see how people go to church so much because everyone needs a miracle. It's happen like the whole time. You just feel like so the same way you think you're getting a miracle where things just move from 0 to 100 within that's the same way you think. Okay, it worked that way. Or if I put this money in, then this. Me personally, I've never fallen for Ponzi scheme because I've been investing in stock market since like 18. You understand? Since like around 18, I had a stockbroker in Lhasa Maja in Lagos. I was already already familiar with programs and continuously studying on trying to understand finance and different, naturally not just finance, different aspects of life. So I already know what a Ponzi scheme look like. If I ever play at any point like when you come and let's do business and DJ guarantee it'll be on your capital because I know I can liquidate this to sort you out or whatever. So when you think about it, when people believe, if I put this money I can get it for 100% or whatever percent in 2 months, 3 months, you definitely know that's number one, financial literacy, and then secondly, greed. That's right there.
Let me say most of the guys that invested were middle class folks that were educated, were kind of dollar middle class.
I'm glad you said that. The fact, so we always look, the word is interesting. We kind of make it blankets, but it's not necessarily blanket that because you call someone an illiterate, it means that that person hasn't been to school or is not educated. I could be an illiterate in a field and be an expert in another field. You get me? So if the fact that this person works in a bank, receiving money or getting clients doesn't mean that they are that smart when it comes to investing.
I got you. No problem. Yeah, I hear you.
So, and the fact that someone can transact in dollars on the PS time. I know a woman who bought she bought Ethereum at $4,000 when it went up crazy. I don't think Ethereum has been able to cross 3,500 since then. So you see, so it doesn't necessarily mean that they are not still an illiterate in the field that they're trying to venture. Quickly, let's play a game of possibility and possibility.
Oh, we gotta go.
What is the chances of you taking $1 today? What is the chances that dollar is going to be able to buy the same value tomorrow? You understand? That's tomorrow. And when you look at it, and that's the reason why I would never tell anyone to invest in cryptocurrency, because there's no value that actually it's all speculation. Hold.
I hear you. No, Femi, I hear you. That's your opinion. I hear you. Perfect. No, hold on, Modesty. We're gonna go side by side. Let's get Deus. Deus has been here for a while. Deus. Oh, that's the every Shego. Shego, are you ready? Let's get Etche.
Hi.
Hey, Etche, how you doing? Yeah, hi. Go ahead.
I'm good. Thank you for this opportunity, Carlo and Lumide. Thank you, guys. I want to, first of all, appreciate you guys for holding this kind of space because I believe as many people listening, hopefully it will begin to get people to understand these schemes more and try to avoid them in the future. Okay, so quickly to address the topic, you said identifying and avoiding Ponzi and pyramid schemes. Okay, I think a lot has been said and a lot of points have been raised. So just what I wanted to add as well is what you know as FOMO, fear of missing out. When people see their friends or their family members pushing something, showing proof, like you've said, and they really want to key in, especially in our society where a lot of people, there's a lot of poverty actually in the land. Then I want to also say that, that FOMO now is also another thing is like people, when we talk about financial literacy or financial education, from my personal experience, I've seen that people are not really willing to invest the time to learn about the basics of investing, like personal finance, all those kind of things. Many times, I invest a little. Like I would call myself like an average investor, both in knowledge and the things I've delved into. So many a time, people will ask you to tell them what to invest in, rather than learning how to study a company, maybe to perform some fundamental analysis. People need to know that building wealth for the long term requires time. They need to learn the basics like compound interest, like the value of compounding over a long time. It takes time to build something that is sustainable. And then I also like to say one thing. I've heard a lot of people talk about SEC, as if it's a panacea, like something that will actually prevent this kind of scams from happening. But I want to tell you that I'm sure, Carlo, you are familiar of the Madoff investment scandal in the US. In 2008, the guy's companies or whatever he was putting together, then a lot of people invested in it, and they were fully SEC certified. So the key thing I believe is that if you need to be cautious, you need to take your time to study any opportunity that comes your way. My guiding principle is that when a lot of people are pushing something, when a lot of people are pushing something, there are a lot of crowd. I feel already that I've lost the game there, because I think there are more opportunities when maybe something is not mass knowledge.
Gotcha.
To be an element. So that's just it. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Bye bye.
I hear you guys. And if you're just tuning in, guys, hold up. If you're just joining, we're just trying to talk about the Ponzi schemes going on in Nigeria. A big one just blew up. And we'll give you a few tips. If you just join them, just go through the tips we give at the very, very top, right? We said number one, make sure it's SEC registered. And when we mean SEC registered, both the company and the product have got to be SEC registered, yeah? We also said when you hear a high return investment, a high APY, you want to be very, very careful. How high is high? How far away is it from the risk-free rate? If it's too far, it's probably a red flag. You want to basically take look deeper, if we say. If someone tells you, I'm giving you a guaranteed return, that means it's selling you a bond. No matter how it's couched, it's a bond. If it's a bond, you want to find out how you're going to pay back this bond. Do you have a sinking fund, or are you going to sell something to pay me back? Ask those questions, hear what they say, see if that makes sense to you. Also, there's no insurance for investment losses. Anyone telling you if you invest with us, you can buy insurance against the loss, doesn't exist. So that's also a red flag for you. Also, when you want to pay, use checks or transfer and pay. The idea is to create a paper trail for yourself. So if anything happens, your name is in the system that you gave those folks money, and that's also going to help you get the money back. At least read the prospectus. What they give you, read it, keep a copy, right? Show it to your investment advisor. Ask if it's something you want to invest in, and again, verify the investments on the SEC website. Invest in people. There are no friends in investing, right? Because your friends are investing doesn't mean you should invest. And of course, avoid greed. So there are a few things that you just want to follow. It's not going to be a superstar. No, just keep it simple, really, guys. If it smells like a duck, walks like a duck, it's a duck, right? If it looks like Ponzi, talks like Ponzi, it's Ponzi. Don't overanalyze it. Just move on, right? Okay, Modestu, how you doing, sir? You got the floor, sir. Modestu Roberts, going once, going twice. Let's get Elo. Elo's is it?
Hi.
How you doing, sir? Go ahead, Elo.
Hi. Good evening. This has been a wonderful space, and I would like to say that most of the things I wanted to say, a lot of people have mentioned, Afribo, Olumide, and a good number. So I will just try to break it down and be very brief about it. I'll speak on two things: reason for falling for these Ponzi schemes, and then little on SEC, right? On the first is, I really believe greed is a very big part of it. Why? Because of two things. First, knowledge. Second, historicals. Now, starting with the second, historicals is looking at what has previously happened in the market. A lot of similar schemes that have come out. The same return, almost the same everything. Let me not say the same everything, right? So, and you would agree with me that most people that are involved in this are adults, which mostly are more than teenagers. So you count back and record as to when the very, very first popular ones happened, and you know that these people have been in this market enough to know that, this is how these things happened, and these are how the return to come out. On knowledge is, I really don't believe it's a thing of illiteracy or anything, right? Just a little personal info. I work in investment management and business performance. Before I entered that, right, or as I've entered investment management, one thing I've come to understand is that understanding investment doesn't really clinical stuff and technical stuff. Because when we talk about illiteracy here, it's basic maths. 1 + 1. Because, and I'm glad a lot of people here have mentioned asking the very basic questions, which are one of the things you listed earlier. Asking the very, very, very basic questions. And like one of our senior people would always say, if it doesn't make common sense, it would not make technical sense. Forget it. So if you cannot ask that very, very basic question and know that, this does not make a 1 + 1 sense, then it's not something of knowledge, right? And I think it's also a thing of discipline. And I know one thing that also drives it is the thinking of, let me do this early and get off. So it's not of something of the victim or that kind of thing. I would believe that most people getting involved in this thing, they have at least an inkling. It's just maybe also the discipline of keep your money one place.
Okay.
Just like we always tell people, keep your hand one place. So it's that thing of discipline. So on the second one is SEC. I also believe that
Ella, we're gonna move on. You said very quick. You've taken about the 3 minutes I usually give. So I appreciate the comments, right? Perfect. Let's get Joe Boy. Ella, thank you so much. Joe Boy, what's up? Joe Boy, did you do CBEX?
No, certainly not. Certainly not.
Why are you saying certainly not? What was wrong with CBEX? If someone came to you and said, I could give you 100% in 1 month, what's wrong with that?
The problem is experience. Like, I was a guider in MMM, so I understood things from the right perspective. Because, once you fall, you pray once. You shouldn't fall a second time.
You fell at MMM. You did MMM. That's where you got your stripes from.
The thing is, I didn't want to lose because I was a guider and all of that. So a lot of times we got money from bonuses and all of that. But then a lot of the people you encouraged to do the thing lost. So it became it's +1 - 1. So that's where the problem is.
Gotcha. So go for it. Yeah. What's in your mind?
Okay, so let me start with some experience I got there. There was this particular video that they showed us, and they never asked us anything during guidance school about it. It was about fleas in a jar, and it was about, if you lock fleas up in a jar for long enough, when you open the cover of the lid, the flea would not fly. The fleas would not fly above that lid. So I kept on thinking about it. What was the meaning of that? And the reality is that a lot of people that fall into these schemes have their minds sealed in such a jar that they cannot think above it. That's what I see most times, because when MMM went down, there was an evolution. It went into a lot of Telegram airdrops. Telegram Ponzi schemes. You know, when I say Telegram, that is people were actually doing it with Telegram groups and all of that, not meaning that Telegram was actually part of it as a business or a social media platform. So things happened. You know, a lot of them failed. And then what was the thinking, the mindset of the people participating? Be early. So when a new scheme comes out, they think of how long has it been up. Once it's been more than a month, they'll say, I'm not joining. It will crash soon. When it's a week old, a short time, they want to join. So don't be surprised. Another one will pop up and people will still join, because the mindset still comes from, if I'm early, I'm able to withdraw a lot of money, and when I've gotten my capital back, I recycle the profit into the scheme. That's how a lot of people that do this thing think. Then at a point, everything went down. People started going into real business. Like doing Ponzi schemes with registered business names, trying to use those certificates of incorporation and all those things as, you know, some kind of validation tool to separate them from other Ponzi schemes. But the same thing keeps on happening. I remember 86FB was something like this. People brought it to me. I said, this is a football betting thing technically. Does it have a betting license? Oh, no, you don't need that. Just join early. You know, it's the same mindset that happens. And for me, I'm not going to be surprised. Many people will continue to fall prey to a lot of these schemes, not because they don't have knowledge or anything. It's because of that mindset. And it's not only unique to Nigeria. A lot of international people also engage in a lot of these things. I know a friend I was telling me recently of one of these schemes I engaged in, and he met a guy who lives in Germany that invested over $80,000 in those type of schemes. So they've been jumping around from one to the other. Every time I chat him up, he's in one new scheme or the other. All these guys take all these resources and, you know, they continue to move in that way. The only thing that says a lot of people abroad is that there's actually a lot of regulations that prevent people from, getting this kind of mass adoption. I think the mistake with this type of scheme is that it should have been caught early. SEC should have investigated early. You know, if you try this kind of thing in other developed countries, a lot of times the regulators quickly catch on to it. In fact, first things that will happen is that the website will be gone within a few days. But in Nigeria here, you'll find a situation where even politicians, government workers are part of this scheme. I was surprised to see that CBEX was actually advertised on the radio station. Same thing that happened with 86FB. So my problem is that a lot of times, you know, people will continue to fall victims of this thing. And some of the rules they use to trick them into it is making them believe that this is crypto. Crypto is different from Ponzi schemes.
I don't think there's any differentiation in people's mind between crypto and Ponzi, or crypto and Ponzi and fraudulent events. But I think you raise a good point in that hold up. Okay. I think we get the point. These guys are able to advertise on the radio, on the TV. I know I've seen some other guys, agricultural scheme that failed. I saw them on a very, very popular TV station, and they're not asking people to invest, but when they go there, people sort of see legitimacy. Oh, these guys are here, they are talking about growing cocoa, so they must be legit, and they go. So maybe there's some responsibility there for the press, the mainstream media, as we call them. You've got to be a bit more responsible. You just can't platform everybody. Everybody just can't be platformed to talk about. They'll bring a crypto guy, they'll say, talk about Trump's tariff. The idea is the guy's going to wear his t-shirt and talk, and people will see his t-shirt on your TV.
Carl, to be honest with you, I think big four guys, because I remember when I was writing for some of them, they did presentations for journalists and media guys on how to report and the basic. But you see, there's another problem we have, like the the implementation, and many of these writers are not financially trained. When I mean they don't have financial background, they don't really understand that when you are pushing out a product, like for example, if you see a product in analytics, for example, like that is not coming from the writer, it's either sponsored post, and you see people still falling for it. So now, under the sponsored post, is written that please disclaimer, this is not an endorsement, because we've seen the fact that even putting a sponsored post does not really exclude the information from being misinformed or misinterpreted. And some people don't read the downloader. And so it really is a very scary part in the and radio, they are the biggest culprits, because radio has deeper penetration in the rural area than the internet and many, based on what I've found out, because a lot of people really rely on radio for such information.
Interesting point there, Olumide. Very interesting point. Let's get comic poets. Comic poets, what's your take on what's going on? What can we learn and all that?
Okay, GM, everyone. Oh, I forgot that this not. I'm used to our crypto way of greeting, something like that. First of all, thank you. I want to thank everyone here for actually bringing this kind of space to life. Please, can you guys hear me?
Hello. Yes. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you guys. Can you also hear me?
Go ahead. Just speak. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for bringing this kind of space into life, actually, this is a very, very good and adequate way of sensitization. Actually, the topic is identifying and avoiding Ponzi and pyramid scheme. Yeah, actually, what I can say to this is, identifying, yes, we are going to identify, but avoiding of Ponzi scheme in Nigeria can't just be eradicated. It can't just avoiding Nigerian, it can't be eradicated, because there are some situations that actually lead people to this Ponzi scheme or something like that, and most of it is actually is actually tagged to government. Whereby
I'm not sure what you're saying. I'm not following. Yeah. I'm not following, bro. I'm not following.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, but I'm not following. I'm not saying what you're saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not.
Oh, okay. Actually, what I'm actually saying is that what actually leads to this Ponzi scheme of a thing actually comes from from governments, like lack of job, financial insecurity, people. So this is actually what actually prompts people to this kind of scheme or something, which I target to be that it cannot stop. It's very, very, very rare for it to stop. Identifying, as we are talking right now, there are still Ponzi schemes that are still running. Which because actually I started Ponzi scheme before coming to this kind of internet space or something. I started with Ponzi scheme. That was in 2016, 2017.
With Ponzi scheme, what does that mean?
Sir?
What, you started with a Ponzi scheme? What does that mean?
Yeah, what I mean is that when I was while growing into this financial understanding of a thing, I came through knowing about Ponzi scheme. Like I was involved in it. That's what I mean.
Okay.
So, yeah, from 2016, when the likes of MMM, NNU, all this kind of this thing, when it comes during that time. So,
all right.
And
There's just background. You have background noise around you, sir. If you don't mind, you've got background noise around you. So, if you can fix that, you can come right back. I'll put you back on. Let me get Modestus.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Modestus, go ahead.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Am I being heard? Yeah. Okay. There are two things I wanted to say about it. This issue about Ponzi scheme and how, mainly particularly in Nigeria. I've lived quite a long time in Europe, and the thing there is that in Europe there is this lottery that is state-run, and that it's like every family participates in it. You put £1 or £2 or €1 or €2, and maybe you wait on Fridays for something to drop your way. And then every week somebody wins 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 10 million, depending on the lottery. And that kind of check this issue of Ponzi scheme. It's not that Nigerians are unique in it. It's just that we don't have a well-regulated, that have confidence-building national lottery system. We have people can lay out their greedy instincts that come with humanity. And as maybe most of you in America can say, every state have their own lottery scheme. The lottery is something with the Ponzi scheme. You put £1, you win 1 million. You put £2 or €2, you win 10 million. So it's almost similar. But the issue is that because that one is done at a very, very regulated level, and people don't see it as so big, so you don't have to put 20,000 expecting 100,000. So like somebody earlier talked about Bitcoin and all of that not making waves in Europe. There's a reason for that. It's not that they are very, very religious and they are very, very financial literate and everything. It's because two things. They have a safety net. Their pensions are already guaranteed. They are in their jobs. They have bought their homes. 4 to 5 generations have bought their homes. And they have regular jobs. So it doesn't mean that they don't. In fact, in England, where I live now, they even bet for everything here is betting. Every street in England is full of betting shops. And people go in there. During the COVID, every shop shut down apart from the betting shop. So that's what I'm trying to explain. The thing about it is that we need something that we can task. We need something that is nationally recognized, something that is people can actually go there. Like if you live in a rural Abia state, you can put £1 and then win 20 million in a state lottery. And then if it is run over many years, people will stop looking for all these ways of making money through Ponzi scheme. Because Ponzi schemes are actually filling in a void in the market that could be channeled to something better. At least even the one I really, really break my heart is this Bet Niger thing. It's everywhere. When you see young people from 14, 15, 17 going to those Bet Niger shops, I pity them. But you can see why they are doing it. You can see, they have this illusion that I can predict matches in Europe. Right. And then if I predict 7, I will win 20 million. And then you see that they grew up like that. And then with that kind of foundation, once they see somebody come along to say, as a kid, I saw Mano Mana in Port Harcourt.
But that's an interesting angle you bring about that. There's no outlet. There's no outlet for this speculation.
I studied the UK during the Olympics. During the Olympics here in England, the National Lottery actually spent nearly 2 to 3 billion pounds to sponsor the Olympics.
Okay, but let me ask you: are you saying that we replace this thing with gambling, or are you saying something else?
It's not gambling. Lottery is gambling, but the issue about lottery is that people don't think that it's gambling because it is well thought. The UK lottery system is so grounded. When I say grounded, it is like 40 to 50 or 60 years, and in fact, it has a high level of trust. That if you go to that shop and pay £1 in your lottery, you might win 1 million and you'll get the money. So at the end of the day, you see, people say it's a poor man tax.
No, I just want to find out. So what do you think in Nigeria would be the replacement activity?
The replacement activity is that if, let's say, let me give this example, that Imo State is running a lottery. To be fair on the financial side of it, let me give you a typical statistics. In the UK here, and yesterday I put the numbers down. Nearly 2,000 millionaires have been created by lottery tickets. By national lottery.
Because every week in England, there's actually, they do a raffle for a national lottery twice a week. That one is a guaranteed. Somebody will always win $1 million. So the person must be in England to win that. And then they have the other condition that they have, about 3 or 4 or 5, because it's every day, 6 days a week. So when you look at it over the year, you can actually say nearly 400 people or 500 people have been made billionaires in England from the lottery. So that becomes an outlet in terms of wealth creation. And some people feel that it's a harmless thing to put £2. So if we have something like that in a state like Imo State, and people know that when they win, they will actually get the money, they won't go to somebody who promises them £50, 50,000 or 100,000 Ponzi scheme, because they know that if they do their state lottery, half of it will be used for good causes, for charities, for school education, for investment in arts, investment in all aspects of charity, social services. So they can use that. And the issue that you need to be transparent. You need to be accountable. I think I'm taking more time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I hear you. I think I was also trying to get more information from you. But I hear the point you're making. You want the youths that are out there that are looking at these Ponzi schemes as their only way out of with whatever they are to also have a second outlet. Okay, that's your take. I hear you, completely hear you.
Yeah, but I want to ask you a question. In America, for example, do gambling and Ponzi, like gambling, because I feel gambling is not this popular, like gambling is not popular.
You know, lottery has this take of it being like a social thing. It's not like lottery is gambling, but the way they package it in America, you go to the gas station, you buy a lottery ticket, you buy your fuel, you buy $1 big jam lottery, and it's state run. So because it's state run, it looks official. You know, that's what he's saying. You know, the state owns it and packages it. Then you can go to a casino and gamble. It's the same thing, but the state sort of cleans out, makes it a bit socialist and all that. I hear him, you know, but you know, I'm just scared of the youths looking at gambling again. That's another epidemic that we have to talk about in Nigeria. The epidemic of gambling. Oh my God.
Yeah, but that is the problem we have, is that at the moment we are not taxing the gambling people, and that is my pain. I'm telling you, it pains me a lot. I mean, Bet365 runs the gambling in the whole of Africa, because when you see them in Nigeria plug into all that API and they plug it in, it's Bet365 they are actually taking all the money. The lady that formed it here in England started with only 100 million. Now he's a billionaire because of the API he sold to all these people in Africa. But the question is what are they giving back to the society? Nothing. And there is no, in fact, it is not even regulated at all. And it's a very money-making thing for the government. They need to really, really do it at the back end and say, look, for every £1 you put in Nigeria, in fact, I wanted to write the paper on it, because
we gotta move on. What you're saying is fine, but I just want to give us a chance to speak. You know, I get where you're coming to with this. It's something that is worth exploring. Completely get it. And it's rather unique as well, because, like you said, there's national lottery in Nigeria. You're aware of that, right? It's a national lottery. I know a while back I had some guys on the space that were doing this scratch card thing, and also the lottery, and they're also like licensed by the government. So you if you buy something, you qualify for a scratch, and that scratch wins you something. It was also, I had never heard of it before, but they were also in Nigeria doing that. So completely agree with you. But yeah, let's see. Let's say Wanyi Agbani, how you doing? Wanyi going once. Melissa, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Wanyi going twice. Oxley Tech, you're online, sir. Oxley Tech.
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead,
sir. I'm here.
You got the floor, sir.
I'm here. Yeah, Carlo, thank you for this opportunity. So, what I would say is the way I see it. There are some of these schemes that are set out from day one to, swindle people, target people, and maybe close after some time when they've gathered the money that they want to get. There are also some of them that comes out as an investment platform, but the only thing is that they are not well structured. Personally, what I do is anything that I'm going to put my money on that is beyond. I look at the treasury treasury bills rate, I look at the bonds rate, I look at overnight lending rates. If these rates, if the rates you are offering me is beyond, above the bank's rates, fixed deposits, the fixed bills rates, I'm going to question it. Now, there are a couple of them that are set out to do the business of investment. The only thing is that some of them don't end up, formalizing their processes with SEC and all of that. So there are a couple of them, but the problem that they have, I see that they have, is some of these people take short-term funds from people, promise short-term yield or maturity period, and carry those monies and go into a long-term investment. Like, for example, I don't want to call it, there are people that take deposits from people, take funds from people, and put it in investment, what's it called, real estate, and say, oh, we'll give you your money back in 6 months. It doesn't make any sense, because you are taking short-term funds into longer-term investment. So if you collect money from people to go put it in real estate, and you are writing an investment investment paper, investment contract that has a maturity of 6 months or 1 year, there will be a mismatch. You will run into trouble as a business, because so anything real estate that is that is less than 2 years, I'm not going to put my money there. There are a couple of them in real estate that is having issues with people that they have collected deposit, customers deposit, and they are not able to pay back. And real estate takes time. There are some of them that are into farming. We've seen some farm investment that has also crumbled. They really set out to do it, but at the end of the day, it's just that the way they structure the investment, they promise short-term maturities. They give short-term maturities, 6 months, 180 days, 365 days, some of them even 90 days. How can you do? How many farming cycles do you have to be able to pay your depositors on his back? So it doesn't make any sense. So it's not, for me, it's not all of them that are set out as a Ponzi scheme. Some of them really needed to want to do business, but because also Nigerians are very impatient people. Anybody that you're going to give, they're going to ask for their phone, and you are not talking about anything below 6 months.
Gotcha.
People may not give you their money. So, and that's why they also do those short-term maturities with these people, because it really, somebody cannot, except they are collecting those monies and they are putting it in treasury bills and bonds. If you are collecting more money from people and putting it in treasury bills, the least treasury bill maturity is 90 days. So, and it's between 16% and 15% today. So
Gotcha.
It doesn't make any sense.
Gotcha.
Yes.
I appreciate that. I mean, that's the take on the financial side. Compare the options you are given with the treasury bill rate, the fixed income rate, because again, like he's saying, if they can make money, why aren't they going to the banks to borrow money and invest at 50%? Why are they taking money from you? They can simply go to the bank, borrow 10 billion, invest in their scheme and make 20 billion and pay back the bank. So they're not doing it because they can't do it. It's a Ponzi pyramid scheme. They're using money to pay old obligations and all that. Nice one. Morai _Mbe. We've got the floor. How you doing, sir? Go ahead. Morai? Okay, Chinedu.
Can you hear me? I'm fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can.
Okay. Yes, good evening, Carlo, and good evening, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, yes, I just want to talk about, the Ponzi scheme in Nigeria. So, what I wanted to say, people have actually said it, but here is just what I want to, allude to it. So, Ponzi scheme, it has actually come to stay in Nigeria. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be part and parcel of our society. And here are actually, the two major reasons as to why, Ponzi scheme will forever be part of our society. So first is as a result of, the digitization of finance. And then secondly is as a result of, behavioral finance. Okay, so first, which is the digitization of finance. Finance has been digitized to a very great extent. Before it used to be investors, some merchants, some business people who always buy stock, buy shares in companies. So before, investments was, actually a very, very exclusive, venture. But these days, I can actually be somewhere in Abulegba or Yanapaja in Lagos and then be investing in shares in America. And so how does that pose potential risks, or how does that, bring about risks? Brings about risks because, you see elements, you see different people who are offering investment scheme, investment advice, investment portfolios, and so on. And so they actually become prey for investment scams. And then secondly, which is behavioral finance. That is actually a great, in fact, there are some elite Ivy League, elite MBA universities in America, that offer behavioral finance as a major. Although I did behavioral finance as an undergrad. Okay, so now you look at the behavior of people around today towards finance, particularly in Nigeria, as the case study. You look at the greed and the quest for material wealth. You look at how people are enticed about making money. You look at how people just want to make enough money out of nothing. Okay, so people just want to invest 10,000 naira and get 1 million naira. It's like that all across the world, but it's actually at a very, very it's actually at an all-time high in the country today, where people just want to make, easy money. So as a result of our behavior towards finance, that makes us to, become a very, very easy prey, to fall for this Ponzi and these investment schemes. Okay, so but here are my 2 cents. My 2 cents are, first of all, I just want to say this. If you're a student, or if you're a businessman, or if you're an entrepreneur, I would advise that you actually, seek investment advice or investment schemes through brick and mortar. There are so many investment houses in the country, such as your Mary Stem, United Capital, or Partners, and so on. You can actually get their call lines. You can meet on Twitter or anywhere, get their call lines, look after them, and then call them and invest directly with them. You can invest in, so for example, there are actually some, companies that are actually, approved by SEC. But some of those companies that are approved by SEC, they also tend to...
we got to rotate the room.
All right.
Yeah, I've given you more than enough time, sir. I do apologize, but I think you've gotten your points across. So I appreciate that. Let's get one. So guys, what's running down? I gotta get Lumde go. Let Lumde go. So let's round down. Everyone on the space now is just going to have an opportunity to speak. So let's get Wanye Agbani. Then we'll just take Jerry, Chinedu, and Bade. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Hi, Carlo. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you? I trust you can hear me.
I can hear you very well, yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the platform to speak. So, I joined this because this has really been an issue that's not just peculiar to third world countries. These are things you'd find in even first world countries, but they are way, way worse in third world countries. I'll say that one of the major reasons why people fall for these Ponzi scam schemes is because of greed. That's the number one attribute that you have to always acknowledge. You have to acknowledge that people are very greedy. And if you take away greed from the whole issue, you'd see that people are able to think clearly and people are able to make way more logical decisions than your regular person out there. Because tell me why CBEX is offering you 100% on your investment and you think it's something that is sustainable, and it never occurred to you at any point in time that you would definitely be losing your money at some point. You understand? Because if you work in a financial institution, or if you're very conversant with the money markets, the the money market funds and how, FIs operate in the country where you reside. Nigeria is a case in point for me because I live in Nigeria and I actually work in an FI, so I know how these things happen, right? You see that a lot of people are out there looking for just quicker ways to make more money, quicker ways to double their money. They come and they meet you with these ridiculous rates. They are asking you if they can get 50% on their investments. They're asking you if they can get so amount. They're telling you, the T-bills, it's increased. The federal government, they increased it. Why are you not increasing your private institution? You should be higher than the T-bills and all that. And then you're telling them, look, this is a business that we're running here. We're not running a business where everybody would come and get 50% of their investment per annum, or you come and get 100%. It's not sustainable. It's a business. The business has to grow. There are operational costs to this thing. So nobody's giving you all of their profits on your investment. I had a colleague sometime last year. She had this very big HNI client that had like $1 billion with her at the time. You won't believe that this guy moved these funds from the safe coffers that he was enjoying with the institution where I work. He moved it to your regular real estate guys. You know that those ones too are another scam too, waiting to happen to you people, and you are there. He moved it there, and what he told the girl at the time was that he told her that they're offering him 50% per annum. Can you match that? Who in their right senses will match you 50% on $1 billion? Who, where, and how does that happen? Do you understand? That is where the greediness that I'm talking about initially steps in place. Because if you're greedy enough to think that a real estate company whose only viable source of paying you your principal amount and your interest at the end of the investment tenure is by selling off lands or selling off houses, you get... I mean, I don't know what it is you're thinking at the time. And this is somebody who has, like, a financial advisor who is, giving them the best rates they could get in the market at the time. And they said, no, they want to take that risk. That's a high risk. That costs them like ridiculous.
Oh, sorry, I don't want to cut you off. I was just going to ask you a few questions if you don't mind. Like, I was going to ask, okay, in your experience, right, do females are they more susceptible to this than males? Just from your own personal experience.
Okay.
What do you think?
From my own personal experience, right? From my own personal experience and then work experience too, I'm assuring you that women are the least likely to fall for this because women do not have a high risk appetite like men
Interesting.
do.
Yeah, which is true.
Men are the ones with the high risk appetite. Men are willing to gamble on these things. For me, it's a gamble. I think somebody came up here and he spoke on gambling. It's a gamble. When you're gambling on these things, right? They gamble. A lot of men are very emotional about money, that they are willing to gamble out their life on it. Then there are those men, I don't want to make it a gender thing, but let me just say there are those men too who are very risk averse and they understand how this risk thing goes. So what they do is that they diversify their investment portfolio. So with the case in point I told you about the man with over $1 billion with the institution where I worked, somebody like that, what he should have done on a normal term was, if he was getting 50% per annum on that investment, what he should have done was to share that risk into 2 or 3. You get, probably leave 500 million with the company, then move the 500 to the real estate guys. But no, he decided to go with the $1 billion, and that's where the great thing comes in play for me. Because if I have $1 billion, I'm not keeping $1 billion at a spot, no matter how safe it is you think you are. I'm diversifying that risk.
Yeah, and someone, I think Olumide had mentioned, I don't know who had mentioned diversification earlier in the space, that we had to, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So even if you think it's real,
I'm telling you, the vast majority of my HNIs and UHNIs, who I think are very smart people, what they do is they diversify, no matter how much trust they have for you. These people, they will not leave. If I have one that the only thing he does with me, I don't want to be saying it out because it's public, but it's 50. But this person is worth over $1 billion in investment, but it's just 50. He will tell you, oh, I'll give you 50. I was speaking to him sometime last week, and he told me he went to Stanbic IBTC, that their rates didn't match ours, but he feels it's safer out there because, I mean, you know, the Nigerians, we have a very conventional mentality of thinking that banks are way safer than, you know, investment houses and other FIs you get. So I'm saying if an average Nigerian can conquer greed with these things, it will give you a clearer perspective to these things, and you'd make a way more logical decision.
Gotcha.
I'm still if another Ponzi scheme comes out tomorrow, you will see people would always invest in this thing. These people, they never give up on these things.
But let me ask. I have a second question, if you don't mind. Second question. So these guys, normally, I see you work in a bank. I'm not sure if it's a bank, but I perceive you work in a bank.
I work in an FI.
So usually, when this thing is hot, when the Ponzi is hot, the bank will be seeing outflows from the bank to the Ponzi scheme. Then the Ponzi scheme will bring it right back to the bank or to another bank. Do you think there's a place where banks should caution themselves and say, hey, what is happening? Like money is leaving bank A to Ponzi, then going from Ponzi to bank B. Is there any place where the bank can call customers and say, hey, what's going on? Do you know these people? Why money is flowing? What's your take on the role of FIs in this whole ecosystem of Ponzi's?
Yeah, this, like you said, is an ecosystem. In fact, it's a chain reaction for me. That's how I see it. Because there's no, you know, FIs. The rule of thumb in FIs is you're not supposed to lose funds. No matter how good it is, the customer is getting it elsewhere. So it's not something they are very cool with. They are not cool with losing out their funds to competitors, anything. So when these things happen, right? Everybody who is on deck is calling everybody they know to not do things like that. We know now. In fact, I know that the pool of clientele base that I service, there's no how they will fall for something as stupid as that, honestly, because it's silly. Carlo, check it out for yourself. This is 100%. In what world will anybody give you 100% when there is no sustainable business to show how this happens?
You know the funny thing, right? Let me tell you a story, personal story on Twitter. When we had the last Ponzi scheme, I tried to be sarcastic. And I said, oh, if you give me money, I will give you 100%. You people are all stupid. You know, people send me DMs that want to give me money.
Jesus Christ, it's a lie.
No, I'm not. That's why I don't joke with that stuff anymore. I don't do all those satire, like, give me money. I don't do it again. People said, okay, I know you're joking, but let me give you the money. I know you, let me give you the money, then you give. No. So, you see, what you are saying, you think people don't know it's a Ponzi scheme. I think people know it's a Ponzi scheme. But like someone has said, you want to get in early. Make your principal back. Then stay. After that, my friend had 44 million in Nospecto. She could have taken the money. She left the money there. 44 million. She left it there. Because if it's there, it's giving her money. The day it will crash, okay. She has made her principal 100% on the principal. So where is she going to? And that's when you have, you know, there's in economics something called Laffer curve, where if you tax at 0 and at 100%, you get 0. Because if you tax too little and too much, you get 0. If you invert that to Ponzi, when you offer 100%, you will get more customers than when you offer 10%. It blows your mind, but I assure you, people will know this is Ponzi. Let me go there. That 10%, they know it's real. It's 10%. That's why it happens.
So you see, when I started the submission, I said it's greed at this point, right? Because some people may want to come up and argue that it's lack of...
Olumide says is trained, is financial education. I think there's a middle way part there, because like he has given you the data. A standard Nigerian guy is smart enough to detect that this is Ponzi. You can't tell me they're stupid. There's a few people that come, they don't understand what it is. When you say maybe crypto binary, they don't know what it is, but it makes money. That's a different animal. But you say, bring your money to CBEX, you give it to them, you get 100% in a month. Haba. So people know it's Ponzi. They know it's Ponzi, but exactly.
If you look at the meme space, for example, why do you think it's popular in Nigeria?
Yeah.
Why do you think meme coins are popular in Nigeria?
NFTs.
If you tell Nigeria that, okay, this asset class does average of 60%, 70%. Plus Mikado, they will not even talk. See, the stock market, despite being in Nigerian market, the meme market is more popular than the stock market, Carl.
True.
In fact, if you try to, there's the time I tried to do a personal survey with my phone. I was like, okay, let's people talk about listing coins, listing in the stock market. Would you buy Dangote? Would you buy NNPC? Would you buy meme coins?
Yeah.
Do you know meme coins had higher votes than NNPC?
Of course, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I don't know why, but I'm not surprised. If you tell people to buy index funds, they don't buy index funds.
Carlo, let me tell you why, though. It's as simple. As a kid, I never watched I used to watch the news a lot. I read those newspapers. My dad made me to read newspaper. But one thing that I glued on to was the business news. But I can tell you that in many homes, once the news get to that business side, everybody turn off the TV. Then the second side of it is the role of the media. It is very, very important that those who have opportunities to keep on banging the drum. The role of the media is very, 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 very vital in shaping public opinion. The media in Nigeria is dead. They will never air something that is objective. And even like somebody talked about the radio and the print and the news, you will never see objective articles about that. People are always scared. People are scared of writing stuff so that they don't come after you. Everybody is scared. And that is something that I really, really I find it so appalling in a population such as us. People don't want to call out bad things on media. And because nobody does that, these people get away with it.
I just, like I'm saying, I was just wondering, she's making some great points there. I just want to get her insights. But I just want to go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to say that, right?
Real quick, yeah.
I was asking some questions before you asked your question. So my take is, I just wanted to give a little bit of education with the way this thing works. So if you are looking, it's your money, it's your finance, right? You're not supposed to. For me, because I spent most of my life working in FI. Numbers, money is very important to me. Even if it's not my money, even if it's somebody else's money, that person else's money is important to me, because if you lose it, it's gone and you can't get it back. And I also want to say it out loud, though. You guys, you come up here and you tell yourself that it's SEC-regulated, it's this and that. Now your money go enter. You gotta have to square go.
But should we not look at SEC registration? Shouldn't it be a factor?
So let me tell you how it works. You're only looking at your SEC regulation, because the SEC is, we are in Nigeria now, Carlo. I'm just saying this on a lighter note.
I hear you.
Because somebody is coming out and telling you that it's SEC regulated. In fact, as a matter of fact, it's better for you to see that CBN has licensed that company. If there's a CBN license on that company, it's even way safer than just SEC.
Yeah, but they don't sell the same products. CBN doesn't sell securities. That's a problem, right?
So that's the thing, right? So you see, they don't sell the same thing, right? It's like you said, right? SEC is mostly for asset management firms. We know these things, but these people are still collecting your money one way or the other. So you better have a CBN license. And CBN is aware of this company. CBN regulates this company. CBN knows that this company is taking money. If you're not licensed to collect money from the masses, CBN will not give you that license.
And CBN has NDIC. SEC doesn't have NDIC, Abi.
Let me tell you people. In fact, we
gotta move on. Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, I don't
I wanted to respond that we write stories. Like, for example, if you look at Carlo's thread now, I put in, and Carlo writes too. The problem is that people are not interested in financial stories. Like, look at this space, for example. We have just about 200-300 today. But if it was gossips, or it was about somebody crying in a wedding, or it's about somebody jumping boats or something, we're going to have, so it's interest. Then another thing again is that tech license, it depends on the kind of SEC. SEC is very wide. Some people have fund management license, some people have different, so it's not for example, look at Cardinal Stone, for example. Cardinal Stone does not have a CBN license, but it's a solid broker. It's the biggest broker in Nigeria. Look at Afrifest, look at United Capital. There are many brokers like that. I use about 5 of them. And I use bank brokers, for example. I think what people need to understand. I think what people should understand is that. That's what we call the shared account. Wait, hold on. So there are things that both of them.
CBN is still covering them at the parent company now.
I'm coming somewhere. So, for example, if you look at stock brokerage license, for example, if a stock brokerage firm goes under, particularly the traditional stockbroker, your stocks are under the CS account. So the liquidation of a stockbroker account does not mean that your stocks are gone. And that's why I tell people that ensure you have a CS account. Now, for those that don't even have the CBN but have SEC and them, it depends on your kind of sales. So, for example, there are some brokers, I just want to call their name. If you don't have a 10 million naira, you don't have a 15 million naira, they will not open an account for you because they focus on HNI. But you also need to understand your own limits and your capacity. If you are good with tech, there are brokers that will satisfy you. But I think the end game is that we should accept the fact that having a SEC license does not mean you're an angel. It means that they have a badge of accountability, and at a certain level, you are protected. That's the meaning. It doesn't mean that they don't commit. Like I said, in the United States, there are many SEC regulated firms that have committed heinous crime, but they've been held accountable. And for so people need to understand the difference. I'm thankful for letting me clarify.
All right, perfect. We're winding down, guys. And I really appreciate your insights. That was a different take, and the first lady to speak on the space as well. I really appreciate that. But again, the point is, nothing is guaranteed. You can have SEC license, you can have everything, and you will still, fall victim. In the end, there are a few financial topics that have come up here. That diversification, again, we've hit on it. Diversification is very important. Spread your risks. Even if you're going to do banking, spread your risks to 2 or 3 banks. If you're going to do equities, spread into 2 index funds, right? So it's diversified. Even if something happens, it might not be fraud, but it can be the economy, it can be tariffs. Who saw COVID? So spread that risk around, right? Great. Let's get Chuka, then we'll do Chuka, Bade, and Glitter, and then we'll just cut today. Chuka, how you doing?
I'm great. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you, sir.
Okay, I think that this is an interesting conversation. I agree that greed is an issue, but I mean, greed is not a new thing. People have been greedy for over a century. Greed is part of human nature. So, could it be that this could be as a result of the switches, the changes, the evolution that's going on over the last maybe 20 years, from the internet boom time to the digital economy time, how we have watched how life has switched for a lot of people. I mean, there was a time when there are certain directions you must go regarding career before you can make a lot of money, or at least before you can make money enough to become extremely comfortable. But now, people can easily become rich in a short time. Like,
that's a good point.
The game is totally changed. A kid, a 14-year or even 12-year-old kid could have his parents help him create a YouTube account, and from there he's a millionaire in less than 3 years. An artist in those days will have to tour the world for like 6 years before he becomes a millionaire. Today, 3 hit songs can make you a millionaire, because of the digital economy. We're here on Twitter. A lot of people post all kinds of things on Twitter to be able to get engagement and get Elon Musk's payouts, right? There are different kinds of things people are doing that bring in the kind of money that you would never imagine young people making 15, 20 years ago. So, and everybody's watching this. Before, maybe 15 years ago, if you see people making that kind of money, when you see a 21-year-old kid come up with some like 5 million naira, the first thing that comes to your mind is doing Yahoo. But now, there are a lot of consideration to be made. Okay, what does he do is the first question you will ask. And then they begin to explain to you, he makes content, or he makes this, or he does comedy, or, stuff like that. And you verify it and you realize actually he's making a lot of money. Everybody's watching this, And then the other side of it, which is the fact that people who make this money flaunt it everywhere. Social media, events, and all whatnot. So could it be that our minds have our paradigm has shifted so much that it's trying to catch up with the speed of the evolution, as in the speed of how things are moving, how disruptions are happening, and we can't catch up. And somebody mentioned something about financial behavior, how people are not learning how things work as fast as possible to catch up. So could it be that we are not mentally equipped enough to understand how how speedily things are changing, and how it is influencing our decision making. So we don't even trust anything that is old now. We believe that these things that are coming up are the new ways of making money. The other ones that used to make money before have failed many times. So this is the way. And the other ones were risky. This one is risky. You know, this is actually what has been going on in my mind while I've been listening to everything going on. So that we don't just, oversimplify it and put it around greed. It's all about greed.
I think...
Because I've seen nice people.
Yeah,
innocent people get caught up in these things.
Yeah, Chuka, I would say this: like, greed is never going to go away, and greed has been there. It will be there. It will always be there. Greed is as human as being hungry. So I think there's greed, but I also think there's the fall of the institutions in Nigeria is also contributing to this. Can you imagine what it will take for someone to set up something, open a bank account, have an office, advertise, collect people's money? Before it's a Ponzi, it's legal, right? Quote unquote. It's legal. He's out there. He's taking monies. He's signing contracts. He's opening bank accounts. People know his face, his signature. He's doing this knowing fully well that in the next 3 or 4 years, he's going to disappear because he knows nothing is going to happen to him. If the police come, he can, if these guys come, you can't try that in, say, in the US or the UK. Not because you're not greedy, but the institutions will come at you so hard. Not just you, the banks that enabled you, the brokers enabled you, everyone around the sphere. Remember, like we talked about Madoff. Why they were able to get money back from Madoff? They went to the genuine customers of Benny Madoff and said, we don't care. You withdrew money, you have to pay the money back to the government. They went to them. The guy said, what did I do wrong? It was my money. I withdrew. He said, no, you withdrew it a year before Madoff crashed. That means you knew it was going to crash. So pay back. And they made them pay back. The same with Backman Fried. They went to the same guy and said, listen, you withdrew money, pay back. They clawed back. Again, it's institutions. When you know that if I'm a bank and I see an institution, bankers know that this is Ponzi. They know. But because that Ponzi is taking money from bank A to my bank, I keep quiet. That's what's going on. How many times have you seen SEC and fine a securities firm say, we're fining you because $1 billion, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. So the bank will say, is it worth it? But here it's cutthroat, like it's cutthroat. This guy set it up. A bank will say, oh, you have deposits in other banks, bring them to us, i.e. the Ponzi, and then the Ponzi will go and open up a brand new relationship with a different bank. So the bank sort of wink and nod and be like, I'm enjoying this, and it's the institutional part again. It's
let me ask you a question. So you have established the fact that it is the duty of the institution to protect the people since they don't know enough about this. So is it possible for us to see things like what is it called again? Legal acts, as in this kind of
class action.
Class actions, yeah.
I don't think
are targeted at these things by people who the victims of the fraud or the scams going on.
We don't have that sort of law. We don't have that kind of law practice in Nigeria that you can go after someone that wasn't directly involved. In America, if you have a road, you don't put caution sign to say slow down, and I walk into that road and I get hurt, I can sue you. But our own tort laws are very, very different. I think that's the reason why we don't really have like that. Because if this happened in America, I assure you, the landlord that had that building, the banks that had that building, the insurance company that had that building, everybody's going to be sued. Because they're going to say you guys all enabled it, that you guys knew it was a fraud. The police station beside him will be sued. The local government that he paid taxes to will be sued. And that's how it happens. So everybody's always careful. They're always, okay, sign this contract of disclosure. Sign that you were aware of this. Sign that you have no recourse. They make you. That's why you sign so much stuff when you go abroad, because they know that if there's any problem, they're going to come after them. In Nigeria, like I said, when it's not a Ponzi, when it's still a quote unquote legal enterprise, they walk around. They donate to politicians. They go to clubs. They go to church. They buy property. Can you imagine? You go to America and in America, people sell marijuana. Marijuana is banned federally, is allowed statewide. You can't open a bank account if you sell marijuana. You cannot. You cannot have So they'll come and couch. If you go to a bank, they'll couch it and say they sell this or sell that to open bank account. Once the bank finds out that they're selling marijuana, they close the account and give you your check. Why is the bank doing that? Because they know if they allow that check to stay in the bank, even though the guy said, I am not a marijuana seller, they will be sued down the line. So they do self-preservation. They cut your check and give you. That's why they close our accounts, because they know that down the line they will get sued. So they close your account preemptively. We don't want this quote-unquote 2, 3, 4 people. They will sue us. But it's absent in Nigeria because they don't...
Sorry to cut short, but the issue is, what I'm thinking though, is it that the laws are not there, or is it that the laws have not been tried?
There is no law in Nigeria. It's not here. There is no law in the world that is not in Nigeria. If you check the law books, there are laws that allow you to sue.
So what you're saying though, that's what I'm trying to come at is, it's like because no one have actually drive it to the Supreme Court and let them make a ruling
nothing
on it.
Will happen.
And until that becomes the president.
Sadly, nothing will happen. Is bail not free? Okay, I dare you to go to state police and say you don't want to pay for bail. I dare you.
Yeah, but the issue that it depends on who is suing though. I think sometimes if we can get 5 or 6 of the top people to sue, but that's the problem. Is getting those people.
Bro, this week there was a 17-year-old boy arrested for public disturbance and jailed in Kirikiri. 17-year-old boy by the Nigerian police. It had to take a highbrow politician to get that 17-year-old boy out of prison. I assure you, there are other 15, 14-year-old boys in Kirikiri. This year, we saw the young boys from Kano. Were they not jailed in Kano? Does the law not say you cannot jail minors? A federal prosecutor came out and said they were faking their age, that they are adults. A federal lawyer, remember? So
I do.
So the institutions have failed us, and that's why you're seeing what you're seeing.
Don't you think that the profile of the lawyer, like maybe a high-profile lawyer decides to sit on something like that, would have been a different case?
His son took a guy to jail for writing a book about him.
Okay,
his son,
I'm talking about in defense.
No, but I'm saying that guy had the defense now, but a son that is supposed to be the quote-unquote the prince of the court broke the whatever and took the guy to court for libel or whatever. What I'm saying that could he try that in the UK? If you are a Queen's Counsel, can you try that kind of lawsuit? No, because your name will be ruined forever. Because the institutions will come after you. But the point in Nigeria is that if you do something wrong, nothing happens to you. That's the point I'm making. We have a governor that openly will say, I want that or that. A minister will say, I want a governor removed. But the president, he will say it openly, admitting that he is involved in the removal of an elected governor. What has happened? Nothing will happen. The other day, I heard now that someone slapped a minister. Nothing will happen. We're not talking about Enugu Airport in the morning. Why are we talking about Enugu Airport in the morning? Don't we have laws? I've posted the Infrastructure Constitutional Regulatory Commission's policies as regards airports in Nigeria. Were they followed? So, in the end, we can blame the greedy and uneducated young guy with a phone that saw 100% and went to invest. That young guy knows that this is a free-for-all. Let me get in and make my money before it crashes. He's not worried about SEC will come and catch that guy. I'm not hating SEC. SEC is doing their work. But he has no investor in any Ponzi scheme in Nigeria was worried that tomorrow they will be raided. How many banks have been raided in America and the UK and Germany and Japan? How many banks? Who raided? Wasn't made of raided? So have you ever heard that a bank, only Dangote was raided and was fighting with the big boys? They raided Dangote. But have you ever had preemptive raid? We think you're a Ponzi. They ran there and raided them. It's not people more supposed to go. So in the end, maybe we'll end with this. In the end, we have to really ask ourselves. Bad is still here. We have to ask ourselves: the institutions really have failed to put that fear. This is not armed robbers. You have to have an office. Again, Abi, you have to have an office. You have to have a website, bank account, EFCC, CAC.
Seriously, I totally agree with you in that part.
And you'll be there.
Yeah, but can you see, these are the arguments. Like, that's why when some critics were talking about the fact that the government is liable, like, I expected there should be integration between, okay, having before you get a EFCC registration, you should get clearance from SEC first, at least, or before you get SEC, before you get any such clarity about digital assets and things like that, portal and everything, because the Nigerian government also, they are capable with certain things. Like, for example, when they wanted to ban Twitter, or they said they were going to ban certain things, it was effective. So if they say, for example, anything that is terms legal for a certain period, if they want to shut it down, they will shut it down. But can we boil down to this question? And that's why I so much like America, in terms of the fact that, see, America is not perfect, but one of the things I've seen in their financial space is that they protect their populace. They rather take a billionaire. I've seen many times they taking billionaire, but in Nigeria, for example, insider trading, since I've been covering that space, I've not seen anybody gone really convicted serious insider trading. That Cadbury man, that Cadbury MD. Then look at what you mentioned, the fact that illicit trial. So these are things that I feel that over time we need to strengthen our institutions. But like I said, we need to also ensure that our institutions are political. And that was why I was tagging the fact that we should not allow a system where it's easy to fire the CBN, the SEC. Look at the United States, for example. Despite the fact Trump is irritated about the Fed chief, he can't just wake up and say he wants to sack. The Senator Warren Elizabeth was warning him that, see, if you sack this guy, the market will crash because there is no legal law backing. So we need things like that. But like you said, it's Nigeria, we can only talk.
It's back to the institutions. If we think that with the population will police itself, we are mistaken. There has to be. Let me give you my argument I'm making. Before it becomes a Ponzi, these guys are out in the open. And they are out in the open because they know that when they close and become a Ponzi and run away, nothing will happen to them. You can't go to... In America, Ponzi schemes happen by an error. So Madoff found that there was a loophole where he could just say, I'm paying you 20%, and no one caught on to him. He didn't wake up and say, he knew he was going to be caught. That's the point I'm making. But here is people plan and say, I'm going to be a Ponzi. I'll open a bank account. I'll go to EFCC and get letter of clearance. I'll go to CAC and get letter. I'll have a fancy office. I'll donate to church. I'll donate to Chartered Institute of so and so. And people will come to my office and then I'll take out their money. And by the 5th year, I'll buy visa to Barbados and disappear. Because they know no extradition, no Interpol. Who have we extradited in our lives? Who have we ever... Apart from the one that is in jail, which financial guy have we ever extradited from Nigeria? Who? None. So if you steal 5 billion, you run to Barbados and you buy a beach house and you private security, you are good. But they take us home. But they're going to be the last guy. Take us home, then we'll call today.
Thank you so much. A lot of submission. But you've actually said everything. But for that, your question to Mwai about the role of FI. I don't think FI and banks has anything to do about it. They can't stop anybody from moving out their fund. But everybody actually knows.
But they can whistleblow a bit. Can they do whistleblowing? If I'm a bank...
You said it all, that the financial sector, the populace, the community, the structure, everything is not working. Who are they whistleblowing for? There is a lot of... CBS released a publication. They denounce this kind of investment. They denounce it. Everybody saw it. You understand? Wow. I can strictly move my money away from the bank, claiming to do something with my money. But to go back to the main question, I stay in Alimosho, very close to CBEX office. It's a new structure that was just completed. Nobody even knew it was CBEX office. I was there on Tuesday, tried to ask one or two people questions. They actually know it's Ponzi. They actually believe, they know. 100% of them know it's Ponzi. So we said it all on this platform. They know, but they wanted to get it fast. Let me be the first person. You understand? And there is what we call traffic testimony. My neighbor did, he collected, I saw the money. My uncle, brother did. They all believe it's Ponzi, and they know it's going to crash. They know.
they know it's going to crash. And you won't be shocked that a lot of Nigerians that moved to the UK, they did this more. It was confirmed. A friend of mine was telling me this, that a lot of people in their community WhatsApp, they did it. It is a Nigerian thing. It's a Nigerian blood thing. It's in us.
Jesus, man. Yeah. Go ahead, sir. I'm not stopping you. Go ahead.
I said, it's in us. It's in us. It's an addict to all Nigerians. I was speaking to somebody in the United States, was telling me about how these people can be caught, can be stopped, can be apprehended. Was telling me something about BOI, that's our financial ownership information. Oh no, the system is just too bad. The system is not helping anybody. But there are red flags to investments. You are investing to a digital platform that their app cannot be easily downloaded from iOS, from Play Store, from Telegram group alone. 100%, wow, it's outrageous. You understand? Any investment that will ask me to bring 2 people, Kalu, you know everything. They all know. I don't pity them. But I only pity the institution and the community we belong to. There is nothing about education and awareness, financial. Everybody knows everything. They know what they want to do. No investment can give you such return. They know it's Ponzi. They are even looking for another Ponzi now. So it's a Nigerian thing.
That's crazy.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Yeah, I think just for me to close down and for allow you to, I think everything well said, and honestly, nobody's copying.